All right, Open Comms Friday. We made it. Another
Another
week.
Happy Friday, motherfucker.
Happy Friday,
Did
boys.
it.
Happy Friday.
How's
Hello.
everyone's
Sorry.
week been?
Awesome.
Adequate? It's over?
Adequate.
Yeah, I'm
is
glad it's
over.
over. Work sucked this week, but
It was my birthday on Monday, so it's been a good week.
oh shit.
This is a
Oh,
fun
happy
week.
early birthday. No,
Happy
last
birthday.
Monday.
Fun week
Oh,
for us.
happy late
'cause we
birthday.
had all of our top executives, like globally, staying with us, as well as the billionaire family ownership. It was real fun.
That can never be like stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just gonna die. Let's we do a shot for Dom's birthday. Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday,
Happy
Dom.
birthday, Dom.
25.
Another one around the sun.
Got when is Viridian coming out? 2 weeks? 1 week?
In June.
Well, yeah, it's
Wait, I got some more
June.
shout outs.
I don't
Oh.
think we've gotten a hard date, have we?
No.
Oh man, it's like
No,
Yeah.
it's been pretty soft so far.
it's been less than less than a month. You should.
That's
Guys-
generally how it goes. Although I would expect that we'll probably get it like the third week. That's usually how they do it when they say like it's coming this month.
What you got?
Probably like
Laura?
a Tuesday.
So
Yeah.
yesterday, June 1st, is what we recognize as Sasha and Lily Rose's birthday.
Oh,
It's probably more realistic for Lily Rose's birthday, because I think she was 4 weeks old on July 5th last year. So it's somewhere around June 1st.
I thought cats were hatched. They
No.
birthed? What?
that is how that works.
Sasha, when I look back at her old pictures, I think she might have been a little bit earlier, maybe like in May, but I had to give her a birthday so that I could fill her inhaler prescription at Walgreens. So I just put June 1st. She is now 16 years old. Lily Rose is now 1 year old. So happy birthday to my kitties.
Happy birthday, kitty.
I mean, we think
Happy
Ty was
birthday,
probably somewhere in
cats.
May as well. He is now 4 years old. But we got the young one and the old one. And Sasha's back there snoring. And Lily Rose is right here smelling my finger.
Yeah,
June 1st is CCP
So,
Darwin's 1 year Icelandic citizenship anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's a
So if
lot
I'm
of
not
shit
here
happens.
later, if I'm not here later when Tamber shows up, make sure you tell him that everyone's talking about his Reddit post about how cool his skins are. And
Oh yeah.
that's
When are
awesome.
we going to be able to get those from Evermarks?
No shit. Yeah.
Never.
See, Darwin, you guys need. Oh, he's here. All of them. Tamber. Well, you talked to Bard already today. Sent him some files, but they were everybody's been very impressed with that.
I like the that bowhead one with all the wizard shit. That I think that's what Manic and him are working on right now.
That's
they're-
what Bard's working on too. He's gonna 3D print that out and paint it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Nice.
Ooh.
yeah, they're working on a lot of that stuff at the moment. Manic's working on some images to use, and then Tamber's going to apply them on some ships. But
Very cool. Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to see some cool stuff like that.
I see CCP hire his ass and come up with skin.
Yeah,
He does a great
Darwin.
job.
Darwin's
on,
the
get on.
CEO. He
Aren't
just
you in charge of hiring people, Darwin? And that's your job. Get it done. Chop chop,
so
motherfucker.
real quick thing, there's a Plex sale going on, and something I heard is that Plex, I haven't actually gone in and checked it myself, but Plex is spiked in price. So if you are stacking up on Plex, now's a good time to sell it off for a lot of profit, and then hopefully buy some more back when it drops down price. I think it's like almost $1 million over what the price was last week, because I guess there's a sale on skill extractors, like Plex sale to get skill extractors cheap for Plex, so everyone's buying up Plex to get those. So if you got a stockpile of Plex, good time to sell it off now, buy some more back cheaper, and later when it stabilizes back, and make some money. Or if you're just buy Plex to sell it for ISK, because instead of ratting or doing whatever you do, now's a good time because Plex is on sale and it's elevated in price in the game. So, because I think it's like 5.2 million or 5.4 million in Jita right now.
God damn.
Sell price.
It better be that good when I get back.
Well,
home.
that's what I just like. I haven't logged into the game yet today. I just got back from work, but that's what Eve Praisel's saying it's at currently. So I know that's not the most accurate metric.
I mean, in less than 24 hours, I saw large skill injectors go from like 950 some mil down to like just under 900 mil now.
Yeah, so
Those
yeah,
are
everyone's
Plex.
buying those up because I guess there's some sale on those. So everyone's buying up Plex and then using it to buy
the
this.
injectors or the extractors.
The injectors
injectors.
or the extractors, I think.
But no, like I was selling injectors yesterday, and then I loaded another.
Well,
one for
yeah,
sale
but people
today.
are using,
Yeah,
they're
right.
buying up the extractors and using them and then selling them, I think. So like because the extractors are what you use Plex to buy.
But that's what's on sale.
Yeah, so I think the extractors are on
Yeah,
sale.
which-
So people are buying up Plex to buy the extractors, and then they're extracting and selling the injectors. So that the injectors are
And
going
that-
down, Plex is going up.
Yeah, floods the market basically.
It'll stabilize later. I don't know when, probably over the next few days, possibly, but or whatever long the sale's going. But yeah, like for the very short term, possibly like tonight, you might want to do it. If you got Plex,
figures.
if you got Plex, go sell it. Or if you buy injectors, now's a good time to buy those too, I guess, because they're cheaper.
I think the sale is on to the 6th, right?
Okay, so well, this is the initial push. It might stabilize later towards the end of the sale, but I would assume earlier is better, probably. But
Well, if everybody listens to us, they'll go out and buy a bunch of them because
yeah, watch them go
everybody
like
does what we say.
watch them go buy a bunch, and then prices go up, and they just lose a shitload of money. They're like, but Open Comms told me to buy.
They said it was a guaranteed
Yeah.
way to make money.
You can't lose.
There's a reason we don't go through the monthly economic report on this show, guys.
Well, we try to.
right.
It's just never accurate.
Yeah, I think you buy skill extractors with Plex, don't you?
In the Plex store.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, I don't know if it's on
Yeah,
that.
for
Yeah, I
sure.
think you buy them on the NES. Yeah.
I think you can buy them in both, but you can buy them on the Plex store for sure.
Yeah.
I think people buy them and sell them. And,
Yeah, the injectors you can't buy with Plex. Those are but the extractors are.
because somebody has to extract.
Yeah,
it.
they got to extract the skill points and then sell the injector. But yeah, so that's the hot take, the hot economic take for the night.
Yep, you heard it here first.
Then we want to jump into the skins, the structure stuff.
Is it? We gonna jump on them?
Upwell structure personalization.
Yeah,
Ooh,
Nani?
like in-game arts and crafts.
Mhm.
Design your own paint scheme. So yeah, once the Viridian comes out, you'll be able to. Now it's gonna be people. You have to make a new access, or was it
Access list?
Well, no, I don't know if it's an
New-
access list. It's a role in the corp. Fuck, I forget. It's what's the name of the role? I don't fucking know any of the roles.
new role, new tool.
Yeah, Skinner is the
It's
tool.
called. Yeah, Skinner is the tool. The supercur induced nanocoding resequencer,
hmm
and the name of the role is
It's like something manager, like
brand manager.
brand
role.
manager.
Brand
There we go.
manager.
Yeah, so brand manager role. Anyone with that role will be able to skin the structures using the Corp Evermarks. I'm not a fan of the Evermark system, but I can get to that in a little bit.
It has its.
I'm
flaws.
not either. Yeah, I don't like them.
Like I'm fine with it being. I mean, I'll get into it, but yeah. So you'll be able to use the Evermarks, and essentially, like, there's gonna be like I think with most of the structures, there's like 3 color palettes or 3 sections of like main color, highlights, and then secondary color, and you can choose from a various palette of pre-rendered skinnings for each of those colors and stuff. You can design your structure. I think they said there's gonna be 90 different ones that you can use at launch, and then they'll be adding more eventually. You design your structure, and then you pay Evermarks for time. You pick the structure you want to apply it to, and you can pick 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, and
Oh,
or
30,
180.
90,
Sorry,
180.
30, 90, 100. Yeah, 180, not 60. 30, 90, 180 days. And it applies to that structure for that time. Now you cannot undo it. You can apply another one over top of it, but once it gets applied, it's there. So I wonder how many troll colorings there's going to be.
Oh, there's gonna be tons. That's gonna
Yeah.
be fun to go out and see those.
See how many people lose their brand manager role very quickly, but I
You know that's gonna happen immediately.
I wonder if there's some sort of like insurance mechanism so that if you buy 180 days of skin and you get it blown up, they give
I
you
don't
back
think
Ever
so.
Marks.
I think it's you skin a structure, it blows up, rip.
Mm,
I kinda hope it's that way.
You know there'll be people out there hunting structures, right? Hunting
100%.
skin structures. Yeah.
100%.
Hell, I
Yeah.
might do that.
So and okay, so it comes out of the Evermark system, and also ship emblems and stuff run on the same system. My issue with the Evermarks, and I'm wondering if they made the Evermark system in general because they don't want to add another use of Plex, because the Plex is already inflated enough, and if you put in another use of Plex in the game, prices are going to go up even more, and that could lead to people going like, Plex is too expensive, I'm gonna cut these 2 or 3 accounts off. It's too expensive to Plex mine accounts and stuff for all these, so it might cause Omega.
Do you know what I say to
loss.
people like that? Don't be poor. Give me a break.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, if Plex gets up to the point where it's like,
If the choice is between being poor and being rich, I'm going to choose rich every time.
right? But it's not like they can't play, but it's like they just have to spend that much more time isking or crabbing or doing whatever they do to keep the same amount of accounts Plex. And so some people might be like, not worth it for these 2 accounts. Fuck them. So I wonder if they like, instead of just keep adding everything onto the Plex train, they're like, let's make this other currency that's separate, and I'm fine with that. That aspect I'm fine with. The thing I don't like is the only way to get Evermarks is to do missions for whatever that group is. I forget what they're called.
Paragon.
So you have to do Paragon missions. That's the only way to get them. So but it's like not everyone runs missions. So
well, they give them away too. I mean,
yeah,
right now,
there's some login rewards. Like I got some Evermarks on that the Eve anniversary thing. They gave out like 8,000 if you did them every day. But it's just, I'm fine with them even being selective on how you get them. Like, okay, so it's like only people that run missions are going to get these things. If you're just mining in high sec, I mean, I guess there are some mining missions. Maybe you could do it that way. But I mean, there's a lot of people that just aren't going to make Evermarks, and that's fine. But I kind of wish it was with like other LP stuff to where you could buy an emblem and then trade that on the market. Like when you buy the emblems and stuff, it automatically gets applied to your account, to the character that redeems it, and you don't get to sell it. It's non-tradable. Why not just make it another market to where you could buy an emblem thing, sell it on the market, and then now you can make ISK that way? So it's kind of like making ISK LP wise, but just do it with Evermarks. And then people that don't want to do the missions to make Evermarks can still have access to emblems on their ship if they just have enough ISK to go buy it.
Right.
So I don't know. I kind of wish it was tradable, but
remember back in FanFest when they first started talking about Evermarks and the heraldry system?
Yeah.
So back then they were insinuating that when Evermarks and heraldry first come out, it's only going to be limited number of things you can put on your ships and a limited number of ways to get Evermarks. So right now it's just the Paragon missions, and the Paragon missions are take a ship, turn it in, mission complete. And you can only do it once every 24 hours. They had talked about tying it into the story arcs, and that people who were participating in the story arc events would be able to earn Evermarks towards heraldry to customize their ships. So I think we just have to wait for the Evermark system to like evolve a little bit more. There's going to be different ways for you to earn the things. My big beef with it is that they're not transferable. So like I have a 3-person corp. We own 0 structures. The alliance I'm in owns 0 structures. They're all held in a fucking separate corporation so that we can avoid war decks. So there's no way for us to paint our structures because that little corporation doesn't have any Evermarks in it.
So you kind of exclude yourself from that because of the way you play.
Yeah, it's not that we don't have any Evermarks. There's tons of Evermarks in the alliance, but and in the different corporations that are in it, but we just can't use them because we don't own any structures.
yeah. Oh, right. You can't transfer them for people to use for emblems and stuff.
No.
And that's the other thing. I was so
This
for the
boils
corp,
down
the
to
corp
there don't be
Evermarks, I'm
pork.
guessing they get like a portion of the Evermarks, like a tax almost when you do the missions.
Whenever you, it's a one and one.
Oh, okay. So
So
you get
if I go run a Paragon mission and I turn in a Catalyst and I get 2,600 Evermarks, my
Corp gets
corporation
2,600,
gets
okay.
2,600 Evermarks.
Okay.
So large corporations in there with players doing it all the time to put their alliance symbol on their ships. They're sitting on stacks and stacks of Evermarks, painting all their keep stars.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, like you said, it evolves and there's some kind of tradable something. Either able to trade Evermarks. I can see them not wanting to like have Evermarks for themselves for sale because you can't really sell LP, and it's kind of it's almost like a premium LP, is what it feels like, or specialized LP. It's not really premium, but I don't know because then I don't know. It's just a way for. I think it just would open up a new market for people buying emblems and corp structure stuff, but.
Good points, Manic. Good points.
Sell ships for cash. Well, you don't need cash though. I don't think.
No, but that's what
Manic,
it was.
why are you not here?
Remember they were doing the retrievers for
Manic.
cash, and everybody fucking freaked out, and there was the blackout, like the Twitch blackout
Yeah.
for that. So the system that they proposed was that if you turned in ships for Evermarks, then they would stockpile those ships, and then when they turn around and sold ships for cash, they would come out of that stockpile instead of magicking them out of thin air like they were doing with the retriever pack.
Oh, we got a camera.
Yep, got Mifune.
You got Mifune in my spot. Well, I got you in Skyrock spot. But you know what I mean. You know what I meant.
I can turn that off.
Fair, Manic.
I can turn that off. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mess up y'all's situation.
No,
Oh,
He's got settings.
I got
You
room
can
for
fix
It
another.
just
it.
takes Drayden a
Oh,
little
you
bit.
got you got room
No,
for
it's-
another. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
faster now. I got
Good
it.
to keep him
You
on
are
his
much
phone.
faster
Yeah.
at it. It makes me proud to know you.
But I had to get it set up for Manic. Manic had to make me a cheat sheet. That
Sorry if the cam quality is a little bit weird. I'm still adjusting to the lighting situation of the new apartment.
that's fine.
I would be upset if it wasn't weird, Mifune. I mean, come on.
It's gonna be weird either way.
Do you like in your new apartment?
I'm very much enjoying it. I just unpacked the last box today, so
Very nice.
celebratory drinks have been in order for the past 2.5 hours.
Oh, we haven't gone through
Nice.
what everybody's drinking. You guys are terrible.
I'm about out of my
Yeah.
first beer.
Oh, so I am drinking a North Carolina made beer, and I know a lot of people scrutinize IPAs, but being 22, I'm allowed to like IPAs.
I don't scrutinize them.
No,
I
you're
just think they're terrible.
what a
and people who
baby.
drink them are dumb.
And so this is
Sorry.
this is a North Carolina made IPA called Pernicious, and goddamn, the can design, like their entire brand
Are you
design
sure it's not called
around this beer-
pretentious?
No, it's called Pernicious, and there's like this whole weird ass description they have on the side of their boxes for their beer about how pernicious is like a term for like ruining your tastes, and the whole thing is that they flip that saying on its head by saying the beer scrutinizes your taste for all other IPAs rather than IPAs in general.
No, they're all gross. They're actually their beer was made with too many hops. It comes back from the days when they had to ship beer from England to India. They would ruin it to make sure it got there before it rot. So they taste like assholes.
We just
They're good.
asked what he was drinking, not an
No.
analytical essay about
Somebody
beer
asked in
types.
chat. Shut up. Somebody asked.
Yeah.
They did.
So
Drayden, what are you drinking?
I got some vodka and I'm just putting it in some squirt.
You
Nice.
can that now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they always can squirt. What are you talking about?
And then
It's not human squirt. It's like donkey squirt.
Oh,
Jesus.
Okay.
Delano, what do you got?
This is Red's hard apple peach.
Oh, man.
Can't see where I'm
Nice. No Akaroth and
Yeah, I
Delana
was
steps
like,
up.
yeah, still got the
takes
reds.
over.
Yeah, Akaroth would be proud.
He's in the chat. What's he doing? Uh,
Burnt.
Chat.
yeah, Elby, what do you got?
You know? I have Coors Slice. It's fucking Coors Light with grapefruit in it.
Okay,
Those-
something worse than an IPA. All
So
right,
water.
thanks.
I mean,
Those
Grapefruit
those
water.
those mountains were
somebody
not
brought
blue.
it to the barbecue I had, and then they left it, so I'm drinking.
So now you're obligated to drink it. You know,
Well, it's
there's a
free.
thing called a sink. You could pour it down it. Be
No,
just
no,
fine.
that's wasteful. That's alcohol.
That's
abuse.
alcohol
It-
abuse.
No,
It's not
really?
alcohol abuse,
Coors
it's
Light
Coors.
grapefruit? I don't know. That's alcohol abuse. They've already
That's still
abused the
not
alcohol by
alcohol.
putting it in Coors.
Those mountains
It's
weren't
still
blue, Elby.
4.2.
Are you sure they're as cold as the Rockies?
There's not that much alcohol in Coors anyway. It's just fucking water.
It's like 3-4%.
No,
Fucking flavored
PBR.
water.
PBR
Free beer
is
is free
flavored
beer.
water.
You're not wrong there.
PBR's way
Now,
better than
what do you
Coors
got?
Light.
No. PBR is better than Keystone. Coors.
Everything's better than Keystone.
I think all those beers they all taste the same to me. Just generic drinking beers.
Well, there's this wonderful guy, and I hate
Thanks,
to
Hurricane.
bring
That's
as
okay.
the resident Gen Z, I hate to bring the topic of TikTok to the table,
Then
but
don't. We're
um,
not done with drinks.
there's a guy on TikTok that talks nothing but beer, and he had this entire video about how he's like, people arguing about what's the best beer, and when in reality, the best beer is a free beer.
That's true.
That's not necessarily true. There are some beers I'd rather pay for than get cheap ones free. Once again, don't be poor.
Malkath, what do you got?
An empty Coca-Cola can.
Oh shit. Skyhawk.
So tonight I am drinking Spotted Cow from New Glarus Brewery. Picked it up while I was in Wisconsin last weekend, and it is my favorite beer on the planet.
It's good beer.
I think that's Oh wait, Dom, we didn't get you because you're on camera.
I know. It's weird, isn't it? Yingling, baby. Got me some
Oh.
Yingling.
That's some Pennsylvania
What
beer.
kind of Yingling? The normal or something else?
Just a normal one. I was looking for the black and tan. I couldn't find it.
Excellent.
All right. Where we were at? We were still doing the structure thing. Did we cover all the structure stuff?
I don't know. We were talking about
Everything else.
Upwell structure customization, and then we bled
Yeah.
into Evermarks.
Oh, and
then,
Yeah.
First, hurricane warning is in chat. It's now hurricane season.
Oh.
Yay.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they've subbed
Nice.
for 3 months. Thanks
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
reset.
Yeah, this was
Yeah, thanks for
Okay.
what was he thinking? I don't know. Something.
For this season.
I like Hurricanes. That's a good drink.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Ugh, I had a bad time once with it.
It's easy
Drank
to
way
do.
too many.
I mean, I will say when it comes to the little Evermarks discussion, which was before I joined in, but it honestly Evermarks scare me. Like from a gaming standpoint, it scares the ever living shit out of me. Not because CCP's execution on the idea of what the players wanted, which was taking the ships from the actual industry and using those for the starter packs. I feel like when it came to that situation, it's the best that CCP could have done. But it scares me with the fact of multiple currencies.
But that's
Like-
like the game has a long history of that. Like this is
It does.
Yeah,
have
it's
a-
another,
not-
but I
it
mean,
does,
not
but
the
it's
first time.
so far it's only being used for cosmetics, which is like that. I mean, I don't care how many currencies a game has if it's used for cosmetics.
Well, see, that's the thing.
I mean,
Look
LP is a
at-
currency too. LP is a currency that's been in the game. So there's like 4 currencies now.
look at
well.
every.
We used to have Arum as well. Like,
there was
way,
Aura, but
way
they
back in the
they
day.
like combined that into Plex though.
Well,
look at-
exactly, but that's my point though. Is we've had multiple currencies before in a way that was way more monetized than this. So like it doesn't
Well-
make sense to be concerned about this to me.
That's what I'm getting at, right? Is that like this is gonna go far to the extreme by pointing out this example, but Diablo Immortal, right? And Diablo Immortal is the absolute extreme here, right? So take this with a bit of grain of salt because it's way far out there over to the right of the whole issue. But you look at Diablo Immortal and how many different currencies does that game have, right? That game has almost 13 different currencies. Now, out of those 13 currencies, only one of them can you buy with real life money. Now you look at Eve, you have 4 different types of currencies, and only one of them you can buy with real life money. It opens that Pandora's box to monetization in that method. What's to stop CCP from saying, hey, you can only get a finite amount of Evermarks, but trade in a couple hundred Plex and get a few extra this week. You know what I mean? So like it just opens that box, and that's what concerns me.
I mean, they already have
Then-
that. If you're a Omega, you get way more Evermark, so it's kind of an incentive to be subscribed.
Well, no, to be subscribed, I
just-
see nothing wrong with that. I see something wrong with the direct payment to reward.
which isn't
Yeah.
where we're at.
I feel like though, being that
No, but
it's-
that's where they want to push it.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
Exactly, it's
depends
where
on-
they
But
want to
see-
push it.
And I
they
disagree.
never
with
sell
that
skill points.
fundamentally.
So
Are you
Like
sure about that?
we've been telling them, and like all the way up to the CSM, like there are tons of ways that they can monetize the game that doesn't impact gameplay, and by like all the actual moves that they've taken shows that, with the arguable exception of skill points. Now, granted, skill points itself on its own doesn't change the game. It takes someone to actually like do something with those, but
yeah.
that's
No.
an arguable exception.
And I think that's been my biggest argument against people that have been playing before. Skill injectors were always like, oh, skill injectors ruined the whole game and stuff like that. And like one of the avenue stances that I've taken is that, hey, you are someone could blow $1,000 on skill points and inject to a Titan on their first day, but how long is that Titan gonna live? Because I guarantee you it's not
2
gonna
jumps.
be long. I guarantee you.
One
it's
jump,
not
someone
gonna
will
be
find
long.
it. 2 jumps, it'll die.
Exactly, right? Like, and that's one of the unique things I see about Eve compared to other MMOs, right? You go play World of Warcraft, you can get a fucking WoW token boost straight up to the latest expansion, whatever the fuck they're on. You go look at Albion and you could just fucking buy shit at the ass and max out your stuff. And it's just like the simple fact that Eve's endgame, or endgame in quotes, is so complex that some wallet whore is not gonna have a fun time once he blows his $5,000.
See,
I
the
was
thing-
okay.
I one thing that I want to like, I believe really strongly that Eve, one of the glorious things about this game is there is no set end game. Like that's when I get really bothered when people are like, oh, Titans are the end game. That's the end game for some people. That's not the end game for everyone. And the thing about Eve is your end game is whatever the hell you decide it is.
Well,
I've had 3 different end game goals in my 14 years of playing, and at the moment, I'm searching for a new one, right? Like it's constant. It's a moving target, and that's the cool thing about Eve. It's whatever you make it.
I use endgame as a relative term. I 100% agree. I just use it as a relative term because especially lately, I've been doing a lot of Eve stuff with non-Eve people, like having conversations with people like Josh Strife Hayes. And
Whoa, hold up.
Damn,
Well,
thanks
there
for
I
the
prime.
10
Oh,
Thank
thank you,
subs.
Sam.
love you, Calday Prime. Let's go.
So man, what was I was just gonna say? Yeah, I was
And look at all these
initially
people that got subs. Vlad, Liara,
Kazaroth.
Kazaroth. Yeah,
former CCP Spider.
he's here. I was originally against the skill injectors. I didn't like them when they first came out, just because and but I think most people were in the same boat as me because they were like, oh man, I had to work so hard for these skills. These people could just pay some mask and get him. But I've changed my mind. I changed my mind a long time ago about it. Now it's like you don't want to gatekeep people coming into the game because everyone in the game now, it's like people have been playing for 10, 15 years. If you are going to sit there and expect a new player to have to sit there and play for 2 or 3 years before they're relevant versus those people, Most of them aren't going to stick around that long. So it's like if they're willing to just, and most people aren't going to skill up into a Titan. I mean, most people, it's like you buy 2 skill injectors, low level. I mean, that's what, 1,000,000 skill points. That'll get you into a lot of early game shit. Like that, so you don't have to sit there and spend a month or 2 months training that shit. It's like, boom, now you can just get into some cruisers or do something like that and fly around. So I'm fine with them allowing that with the boost that they get, and there's diminishing returns. So it's not like people that have a shit ton of skill points, they're not going to buy them. I mean, I would never use one. It's like freaking 1.5 billion almost for what, 50,000 skill points. That's not worth it. That's like a day's worth.
I don't have the data on it, only CCP does. But as far as I'm concerned, if selling skill points and skill injectors provides any sort of boost on the retention rate for the people that play the game, and exactly, I think it would. I just don't have any data to point to because CCP owns all of that. But if it's got any amount of positive impact on that retention rate, that's a good thing for the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
I think the weird thing when it comes to player retention and like new players that really want to give Eve a solid go. My weirdest thing is not the skill injectors, because when you look at new players, they are never focused on skill injectors. I don't think I've ever met a single new player
I have
focused in on skill injectors. I mean, maybe there's probably some out there. The majority of people that I have spoken to and like doing stuff like back in the day for goon recruitment, or even now being a wormhole recruiter, right? Like the number one thing I see new players ask is, how can I plex my character to get it for free this month?
Yeah.
If I mine enough Veldspar, if I mine enough Veldspar, does that mean I can plex my account?
And they're doing an adventure. It's like you're gonna have to mine for like 6 hours a day the whole month to maybe.
It's better. I would say that it's better now than it was like a couple years ago, but like I'd say 2-3 years ago especially, it was really bad.
I mean,
where a lot of new players that we would come across through our university would be like, "Ooh, like, oh, I see the ship here I want to get. Oh, it's only this much for, like if they're in a position to swipe their credit card to buy some Plex, to buy some skill injectors, they were like chomping at the bit to do it. And at times I'd be like, no, like get your like real skills and then let your skills.
No one wants to
train
buy
over
skill
time."
injectors and do the core 12 or whatever we call them.
Magic
like,
14.
Magic 14.
Magic
Well,
14.
but like there's
never...
the skills you train in the game, and then there's your like actual skills at doing a particular thing, right?
Right.
And like you gotta, like, both are critically important. I think the skills that you get in the game are honestly the lesser the important part there.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time though, like your fitting skill, like the Magic 14, like fitting skills, and I mean those you have to. I mean, you're not. I mean, you can fit ships up without those, but you're going to be gimped on everything you do. So
that's
whenever
why
I spool up a new toon, those are some of the first skills that I actually inject on new alts of mine.
So what I do when I know I want a new alt, because when I'm like methodically thinking, do I need another alt for something, whatever, like do I want to get another PI alt? Do I want another wormhole scan alt? The second I start asking myself those questions, I instantly create an alpha alt, queue up the Magic 14, and I fucking forget about that alt for 2 months. And then 2 months later, if I still want the alt for that purpose, cool, fantastic. I log in, I pay for its Omega, and I start its training into wherever the hell I want. If I don't want it, sell it on the Character Bazaar for a couple 100 mil. Here's a Magic 14 toon, 1,000,000 skill points, go fucking take it. Right? And that's, and even now, I am trying to convince my roommate to try Eve for the first time. And
because you want him to move out right away? You dick. What did you do to me?
I am trying. I have gone so far as to suggest me buying a 20 mil SP toon off the Character Bazaar to then gift him to try out the game. And if he ends up not liking it, then I'll take that and turn it into another alt.
I've tried to have a few of my friends. Like, there's like 4 friends of mine over the past like 10 years that have dabbled. They're like, yeah, I'll try the game, and I try to get them into it. They played for like 2 days. They're like, yeah, no. Like none of them wanted to keep playing. I think the longest one lasted about 5 days and then quit. So
I think
It's not for everyone. It's,
It's
just a
not,
fact, right?
like-
It's not.
That's one of the reasons I like it. Honestly, it's just not for everyone.
I apparently managed to somehow like intimidate one of the IT guys at work because he came into the office to like work on something. And I made a comment, like just, conversation talking about like video games and whatnot. And he was a gamer, asked what I played, and then I talked about Eve, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've heard about that. That's way too intense. No, thank you." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, damn,
After-
okay."
So I work in IT, and right now I'm just entry level over on the help desk, answering the bullcrap calls all day. But there was one point where we were super busy, and we have both live chat tickets and phone calls. And so here I am on a super busy day. I'm on 4 different chats and a phone call at the same time. And one of my coworkers and my boss walks over to me and they go, "How are you doing this?" And I look at them and I'm like, "You guys know that I play EVE Online. You guys know that I multi-box almost 7 characters. It's not that difficult for me."
I suppose it's a good example of how gaming can translate into real life sometimes, right? I mean,
Dude, I once reset 7 people's passwords in about 35 seconds.
well, that doesn't sound that hard though. Nudge the button.
Well, not only do I have to reset their password within the back end, I then have to go edit our single sign-on software to reflect the password change.
That sounds awful. I'd help a doctor laser fucking warts off B flaps last week, so there you go.
Sorry, I was typing. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Because I just wish there was another way to get Evermarks, or like I said, be able to buy stuff that people turn Evermarks in for.
My problem with the Evermark system is you have to go somewhere to turn them in. Fuck
Yeah, you have to
that.
go like where is the
I'm
system?
lazy.
It's
I don't like to travel.
There's
Come
because there's
on.
only one agent, right? There's just
there
the one
should be
system.
a traveling gypsy Evermark
No, there's-
dispenser.
It's a bunch of places.
like
there's-
the storms. There should be a
I
traveling.
thought they said there was one
caravan.
agent for the Evermark.
No,
No,
it's one
so they-
corporation, and that
there's one-
corporation has a bunch of stations.
Oh, okay.
They
14
should have
systems,
fucking
gotcha.
roaming bands of fucking Evermark dudes.
Just like
Darwin make this
They'd
happen.
get ganked, Tom. You know it.
yeah, just
Almanac, what
That
year-
would make it even better, right? That'd be
have
fantastic.
have a sound effect in the game like a fucking ice cream truck coming like doo 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 doo. It's like Evermarks are here. Woo! Like, everyone's all
Oh
like
yes, the
undock.
Evermark ice cream
Everyone's all
truck.
undocking and running down in their fucking rookie ships like, whoa, give me the.
Why does this
Timber,
remind
I
me
want
of,
an ice cream truck skin now. Make it happen.
someone who's played Destiny. Someone who plays Destiny. What's the name of the guy that travels around to different locations and he sells like unique guns and shit to players, but you got to find his hidden location every week. Whatever the fuck his name is, like that's
Travis.
What I'm imagining. Yes,
Travis, Mark,
Yes.
David. I'm not sure.
No, like something.
Just
something
randomly
like
naming
that.
names. You got
like,
one.
No, it was
I
like
was right the first time. Travis, yeah.
it was like it was like Xandar Travis, like something like that. I can't
Travis
remember
Muskrat.
the name. No, I can't remember. it.
Muskrat Sally.
Might as well just start screaming Shawshank names, Dominic.
Yeah, right. I'm good at it. Traveling merchant. Fuck yeah, that's a great ice cream truck. Come on, Darwin, make this happen. I know you've got influence. I know you do. You say you don't, but I know you do.
Oh, here it is. Here it is. Zur the Jovian merchant. And the thing is that the devs teleport him to random locations on the map every single week in Destiny, and players have to find his secret locations in order to buy unique weapons from him. I would think that would be awesome for Evermarks. Like, have the Paragon agents be dropped in random systems in random safes, and you had to go find them in order to turn your shit in.
I'm all for it. I'm going to vote for that. Is there a vote?
I wish there was.
I wish there was too.
Paragon has stations Amamake, Amar, Asa, Abanal, Dodixie, Heck, Hakanen, Jita, Orpha, Renz, and Yahaba systems.
Oh, that's right. I'm extra screwed because they're all high sec, aren't they?
They're high sec and low sec.
They're high sec
There's
and there's
Amamaki, and Amaki's not too hard to get into.
All right, as long as it's low sec, I can dock. I can't dock a high sec.
They should put one in every NPC region, in my opinion. And you should be able to put a module in your Keepstar where you can have an agent in there.
That'd be cool.
And you have to pay. You have to pay them monthly. That'd be a great
That'd be cool if you could just add a module that lets you put not just the. I will never remember the name of this corporation. Paragon, yeah. Not just them, but like maybe put in mission agents from other groups too. But then again, I guess they probably don't want you running level 4 missions in the safety of nullsec.
I don't know, man.
It's probably a lot easier to do that without getting worried about your.
Well, you could probably put some sort of restriction on it where the module only goes up to level 3, or the module doesn't do security missions or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, putting that without restrictions has some probable unintended consequences, and the only thing my mind goes to is Fraternity in Venal with their 4 Keepstars on the outbound gates.
Yeah. Like, also, I mean, I guess it's already balanced with nullsec because you get the freaking iHub upgrades, and you can have all the high-end ANOMs in systems like left and right. So you don't.
Why would you run a level 4 mission in nullsec from an agent in your Keepstar when you can just?
You just ran fucking.
The only thing you're getting extra is LP from whatever agent you're getting.
Well, ratting in nullsec makes a lot more money than missions. At the same time, ratting in nullsec is boring and has been absolutely nerfed into the fucking ground by CCP. So
does it still make more than level 4 security?
You could do abyssals too. I mean, it's not too hard to like just pop an abyssal in nullsec. It's like a lot safer than doing it in high sec.
One of the things I brought to both Brisk and Mark Resurrectus is just the fact that ever since we made the scarcity change and the Rorqual change, which were valid in their own rights, different can of worms, whatever. Since that stuff happened, look at the timeline. Pochvin became the moneymaker, and then they nerfed Pochvin.
I heard that they turned that back though. They
turned that back with
turned it off and turned it back a quarter.
There's certain things with that now that make it okay, but not great. It's back, but it's not like the mega ISK printer it was.
It's still pretty big though.
It's still pretty big, but it's not.
It's being used by. It's also not used by many people in the game. It's a relatively small number of people benefiting from Pochvin. Now, granted, other people could try to muscle in and do stuff, but that's
not according to Donria. She says everyone should stay out of there and not be in there.
That's probably because Don Ria's in there.
That's exactly why. No, that's exactly why. Yeah. No, he says it's terrible. Don't
pay no attention to the briefcases full of money in these systems.
But no, like Pochvin made good money. It got nerfed. Fucking what was Abyssals made a shitload of money, and then they fucking changed the rat AI to increase death chances. And even now,
it was necessary. I think.
Yeah. Well, even now, CCP is considering disabling Abyssals on the test server so that people can't learn the muscle memory to not die in K-space.
No, we got to have some challenge to our ISK making. Come on.
No.
There's no complaining here.
I'm not saying that's complaining. I'm just saying that when you look at the trend here, instead, CCP is on this mentality of, this ISK making activity is way above the median. We got to bring that down.
Is that why they nerfed
everybody
me?
else?
I was making too much ISK.
Yeah, right. My thing is though is that instead of taking the OP as fuck ISK making activities and bringing them down below the median with everything else, why are we not taking everything else and buffing those things to increase the median?
Well, that because I mean that was the whole
I mean, do
the
you
whole
want
point of them
Red
doing
to
this.
be a bill again?
Yeah, was the whole point of them doing the scarcity in the first place. Is they're just
No,
like, there's
but
too much money and too many minerals in this world, so
They
we
But
have
they
Yeah,
to.
that's
overdid it. You got to think about it. They overdid it.
they overdid.
Because they knew it
You're
was going to start
absolutely
climbing
right.
as soon as they stopped.
They absolutely did overdo it, and then they've wound a majority of the overdoing it part back, and the game is back to a much more balanced economy.
And they didn't go all the way back. I think they found, like I was
They're-
saying the
yeah,
whole time,
it's at a
give
good
them a
point.
chance to do something, and they did, and it's better.
I think it's better in some ways, right? I still
Than it was.
I still firmly believe that when it comes to the industry side of things, and I am terrible at industry and Eve, I don't do it, so take my word with a grain of salt here. But I still believe that nullsec should be self-sustainable on its own in some way, shape, or form.
It
Right.
mostly is,
As,
though.
as someone who is a hardcore industrialist, all the way up to, I'm not producing them now, but in the past I was like building supers and titans and all the capitals, like that was the area I focused on. As frustrating as the changes made it for me, I've come to view the changes that they made for industry and the rebalancing there in a very positive light. Like
Good job, Skyhawk.
me as a single individual living in Nullsec should not have been able to print a Titan and 2 supers a month without needing anyone else's help.
No,
Yeah, well,
I
the
agree in that aspect. What I'm concerned with is that take a look at Veldspar. As a nullsecker, where am I going to get Veldspar? I have to go import it because God knows that I'm not going to go mine it in lowsec myself because fuck lowsec and we're nullsecers.
And that's good for the logistics side
well,
of the
and
game.
I think they kind of want the different regions to be somewhat dependent on each other. They don't want them to be wholly dependent because for a long time, I mean, nullsec was absolutely dependent on highsec. Now nullsec is fairly self-sufficient. They do have to bring in a little bit of stuff here and there if they need to, but I did see various posts and stuff from people complaining that the self-sufficiency of nullsec that they've added into the game has reduced the need for nullsec's their need for the big trade hubs, which I mean Jita's never going to be diminished because everyone's going to get stuff from Jita, but I think there was like a reduction in some of the other trade hubs like Amar and
Amar's
stuff.
in my backyard, and Amar has gone to
yeah, Amar, like I mean, it used to not be that bad of a market, but like when I was
there's actually a specific reason for that though.
Well, I would say like real
It's
quick
because of the neighbors, right?
I was saying like when I was liquidating all my
stuff.
stuff, a lot of my stuff was down south because a lot of it was asset safety back from the war in Delve and shit. So I just brought a lot of it to Amar because I'm like, I don't want to go the fucking 40 jumps around, and I don't want to go through Azabon or Abazon or whatever it is. So I'm like, fuck it, I'll just put it on the Amar market. It'll sell. Fuck, that shit took forever to sell, and I was undercutting, like I was like selling it for like 2/3 of the prices that everyone else is selling shit for in Amar, and it still moves so slow. Like the Amar market is dead, and that's the second biggest trade hub other than Jita, and it's like it's a freaking ghost town almost.
I think the second biggest.
So Amar's right in my backyard, and like I'm intimately familiar with the rhythm of that trade hub. It's gone to about 2/3 of where it used to be pre the Niarja getting yeeted to Pashven. That is actually the thing that changed it. So what happened was Domain region, specifically along the old route between Jita and Amar, is way less populated than what it used to be. There are a lot of groups that live in high sec and then some of the adjacent low sec areas there that picked up and moved to some parts of Galente and Minmatar space because it was better positioned for them between Amar and Jita than being like that close. So they moved for the proximity to Jita, and that actually did have a huge change on the Amar market.
And that's the weird thing, because I would have thought that separating Jita and Amar would have been good for Amar, because before it's like, well, I mean, if you can get to Amar, Jita's only like 7 or 8 jumps from there. Like, why not just go? But once they added that low sec breakpoint where it's like, well, you can't just safely run a freighter through there anymore.
See,
So I would have thought that by isolating Amar, that would have made Amar, people living in the south would be like, well, let's just import our stuff to Amar, and then that trade hub would have grown. I would have thought, but actually it caused it to decrease because I guess a lot of the supply to the Amar market was just people bringing stuff from Jita and reselling it in Amar for a higher percentage.
Dre, let me ask you this as a hypothetical. and as well as Skyhawk here too. Do you think that that might have anything to do with how nullsec exports their stuff to lowsec and highsec, right? Because when
100%.
you think about it, okay, so let's take a look like geographically here, right? When you're looking at Horde, Fraternity, NC Dot, Brave, XIX, all those dudes, they are all up in the north. The closest trade hub to them is Jita. And the thing is, to my knowledge, all of those alliances do not have a problem with exporting to Jita for a profit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of them don't even
so
export to
it's
Jita.
it's
though.
Not-
really well no it's actually I think this is really simple. The people that are going to export to Jita are gonna export to Jita no matter what. It's only like 3 to 4 jumps further if you're coming from the south, depending on the direction you're coming from, in a jump freighter to get to Jita versus
Yeah.
getting to Amar. But there are people that those couple of jumps, they're gonna want to save it. So that's where the demand side came from. And the shorter route from Jita to Amar made it easy for that demand to be met by people who are willing to do trading between the trade hubs.
Right.
I knew plenty of people back when I lived in HiSec and like was active in the hauling channels that's literally all they did all day long. That was literally their gameplay, was just hauling shit between the major 4 trade hubs, mostly between Jita and Amar. That route getting changed made it so the supply side of that equation couldn't really be met. The trade hub wasn't able to support as a large of a group of people living nearby, and a bunch of people ended up moving because they wanted to be closer, to the central trade hub of the whole game anyway.
And also I'm sure. I mean, I know NullSec exports to HiSec as well, but not as much though. I think a lot of the industry that you see going on in NullSec is like it's groups producing stuff that they know that their alliance or their coalition is going to buy. So they post most of that stuff locally.
Well,
I
see,
mean,
that's
you
what-
don't really.
we
People aren't
export a
building a
lot
bunch of
to trade
ships
hubs.
in NullSec and then going and selling it to a Jita as much. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but
you would be surprised.
That's how I make
So,
my money.
I mean,
during-
I guess it happens, but
during the Delve War, during World War B2, during Down in Delve, there was a guy who based himself out of Amarian Lowsec. And I believe he's the guy that has the Munin BPO.
oh,
And this
that was a fucking money printer. It's not Mutants Online as much anymore,
No.
but damn.
But back then, dude, I think he made a Reddit post at some point. I would have to dig for it. But this guy literally set up an entire website for both Goons and Pappy to go to and buy Munins from him, because he would just print Munins like
Yeah.
nobody's goddamn business, right? And like, the weird thing is that that's exactly what nullsecers do to highsec. As a nullsecker in industry, if I want to make good money, I'm sitting there building orcas and getting them transported to Jita and then selling in there, or transporting to Amar, or God forbid selling a Rourke Wolf.
Yeah, or even finding out like what the doctrines that nullsec groups are using if there's a war going on, and be like, oh, I'm gonna build those because people are gonna be sourcing that from Jita and just importing it from Jita. So if I just put my shit on there, it will sell. So there's that.
And it
But
was hacks online for, I don't know, like what,
4
years?
yeah, it was
Four
Mutants
and a half.
Online with the
it
occasional
got to
eagle
the-
dab, but
It got to the point where I consistently kept a stockpile in Jita, at least like a certain buffer of, of eagles, Munins, and of course, always sabers. Still always
scimitars
yeah,
are
Bassies too. And it was so reliable. Like, you could just print them and export them and turn a pretty penny.
Yeah, it's kind of like during the AFK tar days. I mean, they still exist, but back when before they did the drone AI, and you could actually just drop drones and not even pay attention. The rats would never shoot your drones, and people would literally AFK the Ishtars, and they didn't care if they lost 2 Ishtars for the day because they made enough money to buy those 2 Ishtars back plus half a bill. And so like just fucking print money. If you build Ishtars, they sell. You could put them like 40-50 million over Jita price, and people would be like, they sell within an afternoon. But I don't know where I was going with that. That was tangent.
It was a
No,
good tangent.
I just
that
think
was
when it-
my dabbling in industry. I was like, fuck, a lot of people are dying in Ishtars. What if I build some Ishtars? And yep, they fucking sold. Like, I'd build like 10 a week and they'd sell in like 2 hours.
my problem with being a nullsecker and dabbling in industry.
You're not a null
is
sector
that-
anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. But when I was a nullsecker, the thing is that when it came to industry, it was always Moongoo and PI. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck ever happened to Spotted Name? What the fuck ever happened to mining Dark Ochre? The fucking colossal belts in nullsec mean fucking nothing. They just sit there. Nobody minds them because the only thing that's in there is Arcanor, Bistot, and Mercoxit. And you go in there.
Crocite sometimes.
Steal that Mercoxite. Ninja that Mercoxite.
Occasional. Right, but what? 2 Mercoxite rocks that some dude's gonna mine out in 30 minutes? Like, it's nothing for
I'll
base
totally admit,
ores.
I was that asshole who, when I was
Just
working
cherry pick the
third
belts, you
shift-
dick.
when I was working third shift, I would get home usually like about half hour before downtime would hit. So I'd get online, log in my Hulk fleet, go and ninja mine the Mercoxite, and then go to bed.
Skyhawk, I don't want to hear it. Back when I was in lawn, there was a guy who had 40 Rorqual alts back in the heyday, and he mined out every ice belt and every colossal belt before any of the EU people even woke up, because he was Norwegian and he would wake up early in the morning. It
Man's a
got to
legend.
it got to the point where Lon and Goon leadership had to tell him to stop fielding so many Rorks on grid because he was just gobbling up every single bit of ore possible to gobble up. And there was none to share with anybody else.
Yeah, we had a guy at one point that had to be told, essentially, once other people started coming to like try to mine with you, you've got to, like, for every one of them that shows up, you've got to log off 2 Rorks. Like, no,
See,
you don't
the-
get all of this.
All right, hold on. I got it. We've been told I got to hang out with the family, so I'll be back. Once they'll get sick of me quickly, and I'll be back.
I'm telling you that order has been rescinded.
Yeah. I guarantee they'll
man.
be sick of me within a half hour. I'll be back.
Nice. Was there other news? I think. I mean, it was a little bit light this week. We got the structure stuff with the Evermarks and the Plex sale.
Isn't there
Can we
some
talk
sort of
about-
event coming up next weekend that someone maybe wanted to talk about?
There
Is
might
there?
be. There's something going on in some desert in the U.S.
Yeah, who goes to the desert? Oh wait, we do usually.
Sorry,
Yeah, usual.
I blew my money to go to 20 years of FanFest instead of Vegas.
Which
I
is
already-
what most people seem to have
Yeah,
done.
I went to NOLA instead of Vegas this year.
I mean,
Yeah,
like
I
would
was supposed
would
to be at NOLA. Fucking goddamn it!
I would love to go to Vegas, considering the last time I was at Vegas, that was when I was under 21. I went to Vegas. I went to
I remember
Vegas
that.
when I was 19. So
Oh, scandalous.
being a dude, it was. I still will never forget when we had the whole goon ceremony thing in the Circa, and my corp, we had a guy in a corp that was active military, and he was going back into deployment the following year. So our corp CEO was like, I want to get everybody there. You know, what can I do to make things cheaper for everybody? And we ended up getting a massive like mansion Airbnb that we all split between 30 of us. And we ended up staying there, and then we would Uber back and forth from the strip. So we get to the Circa for the goon ceremony, and the Circa's, you know, like, oh, 21 plus, you know, whatever, you got to show your ID at the door. But then the guy at the door at the Circa was like, hey, you know, you're underage, you can't come in. But we do have a thing where a manager from the Circa can stay with me while walking through, just to make sure that I'm not handed any drinks or I don't go to gamble, you know, anything like that. And they were going to do that. They were going to have a manager, you know, be a sober companion, basically, and follow me around with the rest of the goons so that I wouldn't touch anything. And then right as the manager got to the front door to meet me, the Circa had a total power outage.
You just run past
for
him.
like So no, he was like, "Sorry, man, I gotta go," and he fucking turns around and starts bolting down the other fucking way.
I
Like I'm
remember
like,
that day because I was sitting at the at Vegas Vicky's hanging out with actually a courtmate, or well, former courtmate of mine, and his dad is one of the chief engineers for Circa, and that turned into a very busy day for his dad because we
Because
saw him walk through
everyone's
the
like, they
lobby.
gotta make sure no one's like just grabbing handfuls of chips off the tables, right?
look, I will say I did go to one of those lower key casinos with a couple of my courtmates, and I didn't gamble because I wasn't dangerous enough to gamble at 19. But the one of my courtmates, he went and gambled like 6 grand on roulette, lost, turned around, went to the blackjack table, and won like 15 grand at blackjack. It's like,
Yeah.
man turned his luck around real quick.
I'm bad at gambling. I tend to just go to the roulette table and be like, how much I got? $200? All of it on this spot. Win or lose. I'm like triple or
Double or
nothing.
nothing.
Well, I usually put it on like one of the dozens because I'm like triple or nothing. I'm either walking out with $600 or losing 200 on this one bet, and then I'm done. But yeah, I don't have thousands to gamble with because if I did, I'd be like, there's better uses for those thousands of dollars that I'd rather use. But
Dude, there's like so much shit from Vegas. Like we had a courtmate that was feeling a little rough, right? And one of our courtmates lived in Vegas. He slept in the back seat of our courtmate's Tesla while we were all inside of the casino gambling away our money. Like he didn't even go back to the house, man. He just took a nap in the back of the car. The car was off. It was 98 degrees outside, and he had a winter coat on. So we're
Trying to die?
yeah. Did someone crack a window for him?
Yeah, barely, but still, man. It's like, dude, we came back from the casino like 3 hours later, and we're like, dude, please don't make us take you to the hospital. Like, let's get you back to the house. Let's get you out of this coat. Let's get you in a bed with no blanket, some fans on, the AC. Like, let's not turn you into that kid that got left in his mom's car at the Walmart parking lot.
That poor kid. I gotta check.
I mean,
Was
it's
it?
okay. He's not a baby, so nobody's really going to care.
Yeah, this Vegas though is coming up. Delana's going, Rain's going, Vlad's going,
I think Liara's going.
Liara's going. I think that's everyone I know that's going, other than just at least from the OC group.
It's kind of a girls' trip in Vlad.
Ladies and Vlad, it's the harem Vegas trip.
No.
Yeah.
Kidding. But no, it's there's gonna be a bunch of other people there.
Not hating on Vlad. I just like that's just weird. No.
Yeah, no,
Like we land on Wednesday and we're gonna go. I mean, the three of us, we're gonna go get a massage, go to the spa.
get the pamper.
Because
Any good
Wednesday when we get there is also Liara's birthday.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
That's next weekend, right? That's this coming up Wednesday.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, so we're gonna treat her. Treat ourselves, but also treat her. It's gonna be a good time. It is kind of weird. It seems like not as big of a year because a lot of people did the thing where they had to choose between Vegas and FanFest, and so most people did FanFest. And a lot of people also kind of tired of Vegas because they've done it a million times, and once you've done Vegas enough, it's kind of doesn't really change.
Barely been over.
Like I still would have done the Vegas, but it came down to where like I could do one vacation this year, and I had a choice of NOLA or Vegas, and that definitely played into the thing where I was like, okay, I've done Vegas a lot. I've never been to NOLA, so I'll do that.
It's an easy choice, but it was kind of unfortunate it had to go that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, one of the things that I've really wanted to do for like a year or two now is I really want to do like an Eve, North Carolina. like a big thing for North Carolina, because we have, when it comes to the East Coast, we have Eve Northeast, we have Eve DC, right? Like I really want to do something for the Southerners here in North Carolina, and
Southerners, North.
the problem is that there's nothing to do around here, man.
Do like
Okay,
a Eve Everglades and just see how many gators people can.
Well, I was thinking
Wrestle.
like, what if I did
It's
Myrtle
hard.
Beach?
Everglades.
well,
Oh
no, like,
shit! There we go.
I've this is something I've actually been thinking about for like here, is trying to come up with, if because Redline and I have talked about doing something for the Midwest, and for a full weekend I've been able to come up with like maybe a day and a half worth of like stuff to do, but I'm like, fuck, like how do I fill people's time, or like
There's sometimes like if you're starting something, you could start small. You could like we did something in Iowa. Was it last year? And it was really only like one day that they did things. Like I kind of made a whole weekend. I went around with Rain. We went around and did stuff, but the actual official events were only really one day. And it's like all you really had to do was like find a bar that's big enough to have a couple people there that you can all talk to each other, and that's like the very least of what you need to do.
Well,
Yeah,
and the
it-
thing
it's-
Just to
is, what
start with.
there's so within the company I work for, I can get a hotel block at one of the hotels actually that I used
Oh
to work
yeah, and
at.
that's
And
also
it's
important.
well, and it's got a bar right there in the hotel that's open all the way till 2 a.m. So like it's a good centralized location. So like that part of it is really easy. And like one of the things I had looked into, for example, there's this, like it wouldn't actually cost that much to get transportation for like up to 35 people, where we could go, out to one of I'm about a 25-30 minute drive away from the actual beach, and like there's some stuff over there to do. I could fill like another day's worth of stuff here in town. But it's just
Well, and the other thing though is with these e-meets, I would say you don't want to overpack the schedule because not everyone wants. I mean,
yeah.
generally, a lot of the. I mean, it's kind of like what was that Vegas a couple years ago. I mean, they had like a pub crawl thing kind of set up, but it wasn't like a really super organized thing. It was just like, hey, everyone's going out and hanging out, and like there was some certain bars where like the main groups were hanging at, but it was kind of just, hey, people just did their own stuff with their own group of friends, and then they kind of intermingled here, and then there was a chat where like, hey, where's people at? I can come hang out.
See
So I mean, you could do something like that. Like if you have like a couple events, I mean, kind of like no, like it's like we had the crawfish boil, we had the crew, the riverboat thing, and the tour and the karaoke. But I mean, other than that, it was just kind of people just, hey, we're gonna go hang out and do this thing, and people that want to come can go. So
I mean, so for North Carolina, we do we do have a solid group of people that come to our, we try to do stuff once a month, and we try to just pick a bar and go, the 12 13 of us, and especially since one of the North Carolina Eve people opened up his own bar. And the crazy thing is that it's North Carolina's first esports bar. And so we've been going to his place the past couple of months, but I wanted, like, I envision, like, I don't know if that's the right word. I envision doing something more like the DC trip, like having 50, 60 people there all hanging together doing stuff, various activities people can go do, right? Like that's my goal. And it's just there is nothing to fucking do around here. Now, the thing is that North Carolina, the biggest things we have around here are the breweries. Like we have so many breweries and custom beer that people brew and stuff like that. The problem being is that there is a maybe 45-minute to an hour drive in between each brewery. And I do not think people want to sit there and Uber for 45 minutes.
That's like
between-
$100.
See, and that's
right,
one of
like-
the things
But
that I
get,
love
get,
about.
see if there's like a party, like a bus you could like, or some kind of
No,
group
we've
transport.
already
You guys got to
we've
get
already
them more
looked into,
condensed.
because when I lived in Philly, one of the things that my parents used to do when I was a kid was the Patty's Day wagon, where a limo company would charge people $25 to get in a limo with 12 other random people and do a massive bar crawl for St. Patty's Day. And like I wish we could do something like that down here, but unfortunately there's just no option for that. So my sort of idea would be like a Myrtle Beach trip, or like an
Golf.
Outer Banks trip or something. But like that's so fucking expensive, man. Like going to something that like the Outer Banks would be as expensive as people going to Vegas.
Yeah.
Like
I know that November was talking about he wants to possibly start setting up at Eve Seattle, and I was like, "Fucking count me in." Something I
No,
actually
I've been
don't,
trying to like bully him. into
something
doing
I
it.
don't have to take a plane to. Fuck yeah, I would
I'd-
absolutely do that.
I would.
I mean,
love to
anything
come to Seattle.
besides Eve Nola, I'll have to take a plane to, basically.
Yeah,
So like,
it's like a
I'm
5-hour
used to-
drive for me, but it's totally doable for like a week.
That's not bad. That's like how far I drove last week.
Yeah, I would just get up in the morning and get there in the afternoon.
I think at the moment my current plan is actually this next January, if they do it at the same time, is to go to the Washington D.C. Meetup though, and I'm going to use my my funds from when I was supposed to fly for NOLA, use that to go to D.C.
yeah, it was a fun time. Like,
Lost Malcolm.
and all we really did, like most of the time, was like hang out in the hotel bar.
Sorry.
Also, you know,
yeah, no.
My
During
bad.
DC last year, we spent the
Brandon, push the button.
entire
I'm
time.
sorry, I hit the wrong button.
It's
Oh
back.
God.
Well, I hit the right button, but the intro was already pre-queued for that one, so I was swapping the cameras. Oh, now we got Malketh back. I didn't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Fucking
No,
Discord.
so for fucking Discord, you better believe me. For DC last year, we spent half the time in the hotel bar, man. Like there was a point where the hotel bar closed at 10 p.m. and Merc and Brisk begged the bartender keep it open until 2. And they did it because Brisk and Merc put together like a massive tip for the bartender. And there's just fucking 60 of us sitting in the hotel bar drinking until 2 a.m. DC was so great because with DC you had the organized shit, but it wasn't too much. Like I had time to go do my own stuff, like visit the White House and do that whole tour that I've never done before, seeing all the monuments and stuff. Like you had time to do that while at the same time you had 4 or 5 different events to do with all the Eve nerds.
well, you just gotta start something, and the nerds will come.
Eventually.
The hardest thing is just trying to find a good time where somebody else
Well,
is not
and-
having an event.
Oh,
What I worry about is how big I can get a hotel block, because I think the biggest I can reasonably get from my work is 15 to 20 rooms at the discounted rate before they'll tell me I need to like have a card down myself to guarantee a certain minimum.
That's always. I think that's
I don't
also the
wanna
big
do
risk
that.
between people wanting to set up a bigger event, because you're kind of on the hook if you set up a block for a weekend like that. Because if you set it up and then no one ends up booking or everyone ends up canceling, now you're like the hotel's like,
Yeah,
well,
like,
we set these rooms aside, so
What we call it a courtesy block, which is where we'll set aside a block for you and you won't be on the hook for them. And our usual cap for that is 15 rooms.
yeah. But yeah, but I mean, like 50. If you're like wanting an event where you think like 50 to 60 people are coming, that's not going to be enough rooms though.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then again, if people
So-
book them though, they can always. It's kind of like what they do in NOLA, I think, where they just add rooms to the block. If it fills up and then they want more rooms, I bet the hotels will be like, well, if they're gonna sell, then yeah, we'll open up more. So
They'll say yes if they think they won't sell them in other ways.
I will be
oh
right
really?
back,
But even if
ladies and-
it's
Yeah,
like, hey, we
like
need to open up more rooms because
yeah,
there's people right now wanting to book, they wouldn't open them up.
Well, so I'm on my hotel strategy meetings where we literally like meet with our leadership team and as well as our revenue management team and like plan all this stuff out.
Mhm.
If say I've got 30 rooms left to sell on a particular day that's coming up in 2 weeks, and there's this group telling me like, hey, I've got a discounted contracted rate of $179 a night, and
Oh,
we've
yeah,
got
you'd rather
people
sell
that
for the
want
higher
to look
price.
at that, or can we sell it at our standard rate, which is $249? And
Right, yeah.
oh, we're gonna sell that many rooms by that date because we know there's a concert or whatever going on that night. We're gonna tell that group no and sell the rooms at the higher price.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. That's yeah, it's block. Well, I mean, that's if it's coming up soon. But if they're like, hey, we need more rooms on this block for this thing that's like 3 months down the road or 5 months down the road, they would probably open up more.
it ends up being up to revenue management for hotels generally, and they've got all sorts of forecasts and numerical data crunching that they're doing to do their predictions.
Yeah, at
Fair
least
enough.
the weekend of NOLA, there weren't really any big events. We just had a bunch of frat kids staying in the hotel because they were having their formal or something, and they
Yeah.
were from Oklahoma or some shit.
Yeah, a
I
bunch
don't
of
know.
like Oklahoma
I
University.
That was so weird.
see this weekend. Today was the first day of check-in, and I get to deal with them all tomorrow. But we are let's see, between my property and our sister hotels downtown, over 4,000 rooms total set aside for a teenage girls volleyball tournament.
I just lost my vodka.
That sounds hellish.
Yeah. So, well, what's fun about it, Valkith, is half of my hotel is taken over by top level executives, like literally from the CEO and like the other members of the C-suite, all the way up to the private ownership. And then the other half of the hotel is teenage volleyball girls. And I'm just like, this is fucking weird.
And could go very badly.
We've got them segregated. Let's put it that way.
Good.
That was my job,
Holy crap.
was to pick out who goes where. My condolences to the airline crew members that stay with us this weekend.
And then, yeah, so Vegas next week, and then FanFest is coming up. Was it September?
Yeah,
Yep,
it's,
September.
It's barely less than 4 months away.
yeah, and we're still having to figure out. Man, somehow our group doesn't have as many people as I thought. Like we have this big fancy like Airbnb. We have so many people that are like, oh, I need my own room because I snore. So we don't have as many people that can share rooms.
I
and
can
then we have-
respect that though, because I don't snore, but man, it is hard. I'm not a super light sleeper, so if
Well,
I'm
first
sleeping
of all,
in the
learn
same
how to
room,
breathe.
well, I mean, like I get people snore, but the thing is, like, if I am such a light sleeper, if I'm sleeping in a room with someone that snores, I am not getting any sleep.
No, I get that, but it's just like we tried to get a big place that had like it's 5 bedrooms and like 12 beds. But if you're only gonna have 5 people in it, then what we're paying for is gonna be a lot more than if we just had a smaller space or if they just had a hotel room. Like they're saying, "Oh, we're okay with $300 a night," and I'm like, I think that we could find something better than that. If
I-
we're not gonna split it up more with more people, then I don't know. There's not really a point for that.
I think I would snore if I slept on
Yeah.
my back, but it never happens
It's kind of
because
like most people, but
I used to snore until my tonsils were taken out, and ever since then.
well,
it went
but
away.
because I do have like restricted nasal stuff, so like I would if I sleep on my back, but the thing is like it never happens because if I try to sleep on my back, the second I like just about start dozing off, I think I do like one single snore, and then that wakes me up, and I'm like so my own snoring would keep me from falling asleep and snoring, so I have to sleep on my side.
yeah, a lot of people like if they're on their back, they'll do that. But I mean, I'm talking about like one dude has to bring his CPAP machine level snoring.
Oh, I've got a couple friends that snore like freaking.
My dad-
It's like train horns are quieter than them, but
My dad had a CPAP machine, and they're just I prefer the snoring over that shit. It's too loud.
Yeah, like we were having to see like, with the voltage and what converters, the electricity, and I'm like, dude, maybe just like learn how to breathe when you sleep,
just
or don't forget.
Speaking of sleep, I think it's about time for me to head out for the night, gentlemen.
All right, see, man.
And
Thanks for
ladies.
swinging by.
Have a good night.
As always,
Take care.
have a good night, guys.
Yeah. All right, intro
Yeah,
did
that's-
not swing this time.
That's our only thing for FanFest, but it seems like they're planning a lot of fun stuff for it.
Still sad that I didn't get the ticket for the Northern Lights viewing. However, it sounds like Akaroth and I and someone else are going to be hopping into a rental car and following the bus.
Yeah, we
Wow,
can do
no,
our
it's
own.
Hell, count
And
me
it's
in
like-
on that.
Can't you just see them
Oh,
anywhere?
perfect. And
'Cause,
Malcolm.
I mean, if it's
No,
not.
but
you
I
have
want
to
to. We want
go-
to go with our friends.
Oh, well,
You have
yeah,
to
that
go-
is.
A little ways out of the city,
Yeah,
to-
yeah,
to
that
like,
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just gonna be like, oh my god, like you guys came here too?
Yeah,
But
Northern Lights are
my thing
fucking
is,
cool.
if I were to do that, if I sign up to do it, there will be no northern lights that day, or it'll be cloudy or some shit. If
Stay
I
away,
don't
Delana.
sign up to
I love
do
you,
it,
but stay
it's
away.
gonna happen.
Yeah, they're cool. I don't remember seeing them since I was a little kid in Alaska, but it's
We-
something else when
I've
you get to
never
see
seen
them.
it.
We could
Obviously.
see them here last month.
It's
Yeah,
like there's been
apparently
times I've
the
seen.
magnetic storm was
Yeah,
kind of going crazy or
there was
something.
a strong there was a strong storm last month, and you could see it as far south as like northern tip of Illinois.
I always see the things on the news where like, oh, they're supposed. It's like every single night. It's like huge storm. You should be able to see it as far south as Oregon. I'm like, cool, and then cloudy as shit. Like can't see anything. It's like
Yeah.
it's always overcast
I-
when when they happens here. So it's like I haven't. But when I lived in Anchorage as a kid, and I think we took a trip up towards like Fairbanks, so it was like middle of Alaska, and it was like it's incredible. It's like on the same level of coolness as like a total solar eclipse. So it's definitely like one of those things that you want to see if you have the chance.
So yeah, I guess we'll figure out something. If I think sometimes they can forecast maybe a few hours before if they think it'll be good conditions, like especially considering cloud cover and whether they think the magnetic whatever would be strong enough to cause it. So I was like, maybe if they say like, oh, it should be good tonight, then maybe we could figure out something. But otherwise, if I plan on going to something like that, planning far ahead of time is not going to happen. Just because the universe likes to spite me like that.
Well, you know what? I mean, those of us that are going in a car, we can just grab some booze and some glasses and whatnot, and just have a nice time anyway.
That sounds like
Except for
a
the person
fantastic
driving.
plan.
Ooh.
That's the only thing. So I was gonna have to drive, and it's like we drove out to like the West Fjords last year, which like if you look at the map of Iceland, it's like the very northwestern part of it where obviously there's a bunch of fjords there, but so it was May. It was still snowing. Um, when you're driving around that area, you get down to like literally just some dirt roads, and
Sounds like rural Iowa.
yeah, but like I'm from Louisiana. We don't see snow, and we only drive on flat surfaces. So I had to there was only two of us that we put our names on for the rental car, but we had the other guy drive because at least he's driven around on hills before. Like I would have like driven us off the cliff like at least 5 times. 'Cause
The bus route that I rode going to school growing up was on gravel roads in the middle of the country in Iowa. And like that's the kind of stuff that I learned like how to drive on.
yeah, no, it's terrifying. Like here, if it ever gets cold enough for the roads to ice over, people lose their minds, and I just don't even go outside because
What
It's
bothers me is
people are
that
gonna be like sliding through stop signs and like they don't even know how to drive on ice. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try bother to drive on ice because
Yeah, I mean, since I started learning, I mean, I've always just driven in winter, so I'm totally comfortable in even like extreme slippery winter conditions. But
I remember
it's funny because there's a lot of people that have moved up here over the last 5 years. Like, there's a lot of people from Florida and California and Texas and stuff up here now, and it is hilarious. Well, granted, as long as no one gets hurt, but it is hilarious. Like the number of people. It's like, all right, snow's coming. Normally it's just some snow, but like it's snow, and like you can tell there's like just that thin little sheen of like not a layer of ice, but there's like a bit of frozenness on the road to where it's like that if you don't catch that right, you're gonna go sliding. And you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go a little bit slower, and you just see the people cruising by like on the freeway going 75, and you're like,
that's usually like
you're fucking crazy. And then
Yeah,
like, yep, 2
you
miles
could
down the
take the
road, they're
precautions.
freaking
They're in the
360
ditch,
in the ditch. Yeah, it's like, well, fuck, I saw that coming.
yeah, it's like
I
you
w-
could take the precautions, but it's whether the other people do. Like
Yeah,
you
that's
can drive slowly, but it's like some asshole that tries to drive normal speed and then goes through the stop sign and hits you. Like that's
yeah, that's my
I
biggest
remember
worry in the
when I
winter is other
was
people hitting me, not me hitting them.
when I was 16, it was Christmas Eve, headed back to our house with my little brothers asleep in the back seat, my mom in the passenger seat. I had my permit at the time. I hadn't gotten my full license, and my mom took me to the mall parking lot again, middle of the snowstorm, and had me practice correcting, like losing control, like on ice. She'd be like, all right, accelerate in this direction, in the middle of the parking lot. And then she'd, be like, all right, turn. She'd pull the parking brake temporarily. And then, I'd have to correct it.
Drayton, we made the same
It
joke.
was a fun way to learn how to do that.
We have to ask LB. LB.
Talk to me, Goose.
All right. So Val says Canadians leave the womb in a Ford Pinto on icy roads, and that's where our mastery begins.
This is correct.
Delana has also heard that Canadians
With
aren't
ball
born.
tires.
Canadians aren't born; they just emerge from beneath the ice, fully formed, with hockey stick and skates on.
The birthing occurs below the surface of the ice.
Ah, gotcha. The moms go under the ice.
Yeah.
So they can-
before the ice freezes, they make their way to the edge of the water.
So then they can come up topside and get on that ice and look for the hat tricks.
Yeah. And then immediately learn to drive on ice. Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. That's
Science.
that's the science hour question. We'll just call it. That's science time with LB. Eh?
Fucking good one, bud.
Fucking science time, bud. Fucking right.
I have posted a completely scientific video demonstrating how Canadians are born.
Yeah.
Oh
Right
God.
there.
Oh. Holy shit.
Outside of the shot is the
I-
Ford Pinto with bald tires.
Yeah, like I would be worried for that dude, except he is Canadian. That's like the whole Australian thing. It's like big old shark comes by and the guy's swimming around. It's like, oh my God, that was such a dangerous situation. That shark almost got caught by the Australian man. Like it's like that shark to go home and be like, oh my God, I had an Aussie encounter. I survived.
Yeah, it's like when November was here for NOLA and he was saying like he like barely wants to wear shoes. Like preferably he would just go barefoot, and I'm just like, ugh.
He just wore. I was like, man, I commend you on your bravery. Wearing like I'm not like a super like germaphobe, but I was like, I don't think I would wear sandals down Bourbon Street.
But then again, he's like, I'm from Australia. I'm like, fair point.
Triglavian times with the raid. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show.
It's like if his feet can survive Australia, then I bet his feet
we-
can survive Bourbon Street. I mean, I wear
Welcome.
sandals on Bourbon Street. I don't give a shit. I just like when I get home, sometimes I clean off
them
my
out.
feet in the bathtub before I go to bed.
Yeah, we were in the middle of discussing how Canadians are born with hockey sticks and the Eve NOLA meetup down Bourbon Street with Australians in sandals. Like riveting Eve news going on at the moment. But
We're
I
firmly
mean,
in
we
the
were
reactor
actually
show,
talking
I
about
think.
Eve stuff before that.
sorry. Yeah, but yeah, no,
Actually, I
we
think
got
we
this
did
is-
good for Eve today.
Yeah, no, funny is like
Yeah,
I've
we-
been playing a lot of Eve. I've been playing so much Eve lately. It's unheard of.
I have.
That's
really,
okay, you'll
I'm
quit
actually playing Final Fantasy 14 right now.
I was gonna say, I was like, I haven't seen, but
You're not playing 11 with Rain?
Like honestly, I know it's weird to hear, but 14 is actually the only one I've played ever.
I've never played any of them. You're doing better than me.
I think
I
I
mean,
played about
I
6
played
hours
Kingdom
of 8.
Hearts on PS2, which is like kind of Final Fantasy. It's like Final Fantasy combined with Disney characters. So
I played Final Fantasy Tactics on the PlayStation.
Oh, I did play that. That was fun. I didn't finish it. I was not.
and
Does that
apparently,
count?
I mean, Final Fantasy 14 makes a lot of
I-
references to the other games, and there's a big area where it's like a huge, just like tactics.
Yeah, I
flashback.
have been undocking Hurricane. I've been undocking and doing a lot of shit. I mean, you can look at my ZKill board. I am usually flying Logi on most of the fleet, so I'm not going to show up on a bit of those. But I do got some kills. I've been flying some DPS shit. Went out in a Legion one time, and when I've
Didn't you lose a Megatron Navy issue?
that was day one of getting in there. We killed a super obvious bait Tengu. It was like AFK Tengu with the sun at 0. Let's shoot it. It's like, oh, what do you mean? It was a bait Sino. but
Hey, look, he's a fucking killer.
yeah, but no,
and kill right here.
I mean, like I said, I don't have a ton of kills, but I took a Redeemer out on a fleet. I took a Legion out on a fleet, so I've gotten some DPS stuff out there. But yeah, usually I'm flying Logi, so not on as many kills as I've been on fleets. But I've been active. I took a 1.5-year hiatus, and I'm back to the game. I'm back, baby. But also
For the next month at least.
I've been doing a lot of ratting and stuff too, because
we'll
moving
get
up
you
to a
ready
new
next
alliance with no ships and just liquidated everything, came up there with money, and then having to buy all the doctrines is expensive. And I put up there with 18 billion. I have like 2 billion left, and so I'm like, I need to rat some ISK back up. So like, if I'm not on fleets, I'm fucking ratting now at the moment. And doing some PI. That's another thing.
Any news on your jump freighter?
I have not. I actually haven't checked the ticket. Who knows? It's been. I did check it like a week ago. Nothing. I have a feeling they're just going to ignore me on that one, just because they
won't ignore it. You'll get a response.
I hope I get a response, and I hope they don't think it's a troll, because it's one of those like I may have deleted the JF. I think I did. I think they deleted it out of asset safety on accident, so I'm hoping to get reimbursed with it. But they're like, please specify the date and time that you deleted your thing. I'm like, between 1 year and 2 years ago, somewhere in there. Like, if you could check it out, please. So we'll see.
Taking longer.
I may have
possibly
sold
is a good
it.
thing.
It would have been after I left NC Dot. But before I joined, well, maybe not before I joined Wrong. It was, I think it would have been sometime when I was in Wrong, and I think that's when I was like thinking about consolidating some of my asset safety shit I had out there, and then I think that might have, so it was probably somewhere around the time I was in Wrong that I would have done that, but I don't know. The NC Dude. I was in NC Dot for a
Birthday
little
morning, you're a former blessed bean. That's funny. I've been in Horde for a long time, but for most of that I was in Vanguard, and then now I'm just back in regular Horde. I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, I'm back
But,
in the Pantheon.
I'll have to talk to Gobbins next week. He like kind of last minute decided to go to Vegas, so I'm like, oh, okay. There's Gobbo. I think he lives in California or something, so he's fairly close, I think. Yeah.
I didn't really realize how close a drive it was, especially to like the LA area until this
It's
past
like 5
Friday.
hours, yeah.
Well, like it's a little bit less depending on exactly where you're coming from over there.
Yeah, it depends on traffic. Yeah,
But
I mean, if you're like going from like
like-
Long Beach to Vegas, probably 5 hours. But
We had like 3 or 4 guys from TRC that last minute were like, "Oh yeah, we're coming too," and we're like, "What? Where are you coming in from?" They're like, "Oh, yeah, we're in Southwest California." And we're like, "Oh, fuck, okay."
Yeah, that's like goes straight over.
yeah, even more like so because like Salt Lake City is only like 5 or 6 hour drive. I thought that was way further. Just because I always think that for some reason in my mind, like when I look at a map, it's obviously not, but in my mind, I'm thinking they have to drive all the way through Utah and then they get into the top of Nevada. That's not true. It's like Nevada and Utah are like side by side. So
I've done the drive a ton, but it still always surprises me. But I can be in downtown Chicago from my apartment in pretty much 2.5 hours on the dot. Which is, but yet it feels far away.
yeah, there's Seattle is like 5 hours from me, and that's like the closest large city.
That's
Takes
about
a
how
half hour
far
to even start getting anywhere.
I can be in Toronto driving in about 5 hours.
I mean, that's like driving in Texas right now. Cat, they're just like, you keep driving, you're still in Texas.
Yeah. Montana
Yeah,
going
third of the drive to New Orleans is just getting out of Texas.
taking I-90 like through Montana, like going from west to east Montana is probably similar to Texas though. It's a good like 11-hour drive, 12-hour drive from like west border to east border Montana. I know Texas is probably a little bit longer than that, but
Yeah, it's like 14, 16, depending
Yeah.
upon where you're going, where you're crossing.
7. So that's bad. I'm not disputing that, but fuck Illinois. 2, fuck Illinois. 3, top to bottom, Wisconsin to the southern border of Illinois is 7.5, 8 hours, and it's the longest 8 hours of your life. Because you're going through the flatlands plains of nothingscape, which is also, I know that describes West Texas too.
Also, drive through fucking Louisiana. Like, once you're outside the big cities, there's fucking nothing.
Oh yeah, oh god, it's like nothing but like if you're not in just like trees, there's like sugarcane fields upon sugarcane fields. Like
Worst state,
we drove some back roads from here to Alexandria, which is like right in the middle of Louisiana. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it is like rural bumfuck nowhere.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
true.
a little
Yeah.
scary in some spots.
Ackroth has a point. Alaska is the longest drive.
he's not wrong.
Yeah.
The worst drive I've personally done though is along Interstate 80 going west through Nebraska, because there's a stretch there where like for 90 miles the interstate is just fucking straight as an arrow, flat, nothing but cornfields and wheat and soybean fields around you. And like
Yeah.
that's it.
But also then again, like every Canadian province from north to south is like
Gigantic.
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're also
They're
uninhabited.
huge. Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, once you get like Ontario and west, it's like a freaking 15-hour drive north to south. I would think on all of them, because they're all like U.S. border to Nunavut / Northern
what do you-
Territory, Northwest Territories.
What
Was
do
it-
you mean? In a single
Yeah.
episode of
Yeah.
Ice Road Truckers, they go through an entire fucking province.
Which province?
Yukon, the small one.
Where do they start? Whitehorse?
Nope. Nova Scotia.
No, Ice Road
started
Truckers is
Nova
over by
Scotia,
Alaska.
that's
If it's by
Yukon.
Alaska, it's gonna be Yukon, which is like not that big of a province. I mean, it's bigger than
it's-
Nova Scotia, but it's not like BC
pick it
or
up.
Manitoba levels.
I don't
Yeah.
actually watch that show. I just did once like 10 years ago.
Let's say you went from Whitefish Station. Which is on the
Where-
northern.
When I was
the
watching,
northern
it was
coast
when
of
they were
Yukon.
hauling a bunch of stuff in the winter over the frozen lakes up to the diamond mines.
Right. I don't know where those diamond mines are. Let's just say
They're
you
somewhere
drove
in the
from
Northwest
Whitehorse.
Territories.
I mean, Ice Road Truckers, they usually went to Prudhoe Bay, didn't they?
Where's Prudhoe Bay?
That's like the center of Alaska, but very north on the coast. It's like a big oil refinery town. It's middle of. It's like one of the coldest fucking places ever in the U.S.
So the ones I'm thinking about are the Ikati and the
see
Diavik diamond mines in Northwest Territories.
Okay. So we got a question. What do you think about the proposal to ban AWACS in nullsec? I don't know how you would ban
What?
AWACSing.
I don't even know what.
I don't think that I wouldn't really like getting AWACS sucks. I don't.
What kind of?
Where did you hear about this? I'm not sure what
What
you're
proposal?
referring to.
What's
Swami.
the-
I
mechanic?
haven't heard of the proposal. I'm just taking I'm assuming that there is a proposal. I'm fine just like spying and stuff in the game. Oh, it's Horde Discord. Okay. Just like
Well-
spying in the game, like that's just part of the game. I'm fine with it being there. Like it sucks getting AWACS. I don't see. I
CCP
don't
ever
think I've ever
touching
been AWACS, but I'm sure it would suck if a blue just points you and shit. You're like, what the fuck, and then you die. But I don't know. I mean, the only way to turn that off is what? Turn off blue damage. Like if you're blue with someone, you can't aggress them. I don't like that. So
Something with the safety system that prevented you even in nullsec. Yeah, I don't see CCP touching that, so I think that's
yeah, I don't-
probably someone trolling on Horde Discord.
well, I mean, it's I mean, if it's a proposal, like I mean, it's not gonna. I doubt it's. I don't think CCP would take it as any kind of like a serious.
Yeah, I don't
They're
think
not
that's
going to.
a
They're not
serious
going to
proposal
change
on
anything on
CCP.
AWACSing. They won't. But I kind of like that they don't. It adds just a. I mean, I like that there's spying in the game, and AWACSing is essentially a part. It's a part of espionage. It's sabotage espionage. I like that there's that aspect of the game. It kind of has to keep you on your toes, and I mean, New recruit. I know that that's the thing, like, because I've just recently joined PL, so I'm still sitting on there like, oh, in habit for what 25 days or something like that. So if I'm like flying around render systems like doing shit, like it's like I'm honestly like, oh hey, well I'm looking for this one thing and your market just happened to have it, and so I'm in there or like setting up PI and stuff, and I'm sure like the renders are like, why is this 12-day-old PL character just hanging out in this system when they're not even supposed to be here? Like they're probably just panicking and shit. I'm like, oh, I'm just buying shit from your market. Don't mind me. But I mean, there is the risk of AWOXing, so you have to pay attention, especially with new characters. Like, oh, it's like I've been out ratting, and it's like see some guy come in system. It's like, oh, dude's been in Horde for 7 days. Got to keep an eye on that. So I mean, it's probably fine, but.
I just searched the word AWOX in the Horde Discord. And apparently, like, the guy that AWOXing is named after is now in Horde. Like, he came back and he's now in
AWOX
Horde.
is back? Nice.
Wow, really?
Do you think
That's what I say for somebody said a couple days ago.
You think
I forget what his
Wait, it's actually named after a person?
Yeah.
Yes.
The first guy that
I've played 14 years and did not know this.
Yeah, I don't know if he was like technically the first person to do. He was the first person to get known for it. Yeah, he's the first person to get known for it. His name was AWOX something. So now they just call it AWOXing because it was.
No, I honestly, I don't know.
That invented safaris, right?
I don't know.
Well, who the fuck was that?
Or was that another guy after him? I don't remember.
It's another
been
guy.
So damn long.
I remember reading that guy's blogs because they were super interesting.
Science question. How do you?
We already had it.
They redeemed this one. How do you create a Canadian? So what you have to do? Do I gotta get
Take
the code
a Frenchman
on?
and you beat some American.
Oh, you know what? I can't get the code on. Code is I put it in the wash and I have not put it in the
Also,
dryer.
Drayden, wouldn't you let the Canadian explain how Canadians are made?
Ooh.
Unless you're
I'm not a
Canadian
scientist.
explaining.
I could defer it, but I'm saying like my lab coat. I actually put it in the wash, and I've not put it in the dryer yet, so it's soaking wet in the wash machine.
What else is being a supreme American than if we can't,
Explaining someone else's culture. That's right.
No, specifically to Canadians, it's important we keep you guys in your place.
I will put the glasses on at least, and I will
Wear
just
America's
say.
hat.
So how
you keep us very snugly warm.
How you create a Canadian? You have to take a hockey puck and a curling stick. Get some maple syrup. Get a good lather. Put them together. Bury it in an ice lake, and wait for it to emerge. That's. I think we came up with this earlier.
The Canadian mating season starts once the Toronto Maple Leafs are.
No, there's the broom is the curling team, but then what? Oh, I'm talking about a stick that you push the curling disc with. That's not a broom.
Okay, it's a rock.
Oh no, you just actually it's just got a handle. You
don't
just like
push it.
You just
slide it by hand.
Slide it. Oh.
The brooms are to create a smooth surface on the ice.
Oh, shows how much I know about curling. Okay, you take a big curling. What do they call them? Curling irons? No, that's a hair.
Those
That's
would
a
be
hair.
used for your hair, Drayden. You're awful at this Canadian explaining thing.
I don't know Canada at all. LB help.
All right, listen. Canadian mating season starts once the Toronto Maple Leafs are eliminated from the playoffs. At that point, male Canadians begin like courting females with a mating dance. I can't do it right now because it's illegal to do it out of season. Season's over now. Once Mail on Weekend hits, like when the mating season's over, so you have that window to like get the business done. Other than that, it's pretty much straightforward. Like,
oh, so you still do like the sex
once-
thing?
I have a burning question.
See, I've been wrong this whole time. I thought it was
once
like
the
some
female chooses to mate, then
Minecraft
they burrow
crafting
themselves.
recipe.
They make themselves a burrow, right, and then they, do the business. And then 9 months later, it's 9 months later, it's winter, and then the female goes into the ice and gives birth.
You gotta make a burrow. Like, hey, you want to come check my burrow out?
I have a question about this process. So you said that's what happens when when the Maple Leafs get eliminated from the playoffs?
They did this year.
So if they don't, and if they in the playoffs past May long weekend, you'll see statistically throughout history that's when birth rates drop down because there is no mating season at that point. You have to skip a year. You have to go to the next year.
Which is funny because like
That's gotta suck.
the Blue Jays have won a World Series. The
Usually
Raptors,
doubles
the
the next year,
Raptors, the
'cause they get
Raptors
out
have
of
won
it
an
early.
NBA Finals.
Yeah, I was about to ask if it.
But
came
so it's
back
like you
hard.
guys have won finals in the more American-esque sports, but when it comes to your own homegrown sport, your major city has never gone the distance.
Put on your tinfoil hats. Are you ready?
Yeah. Two
Gary
World
Bettman
Series.
is the commissioner of the NHL. He is an American businessman. He
Oh, I see
doesn't
this
want
going.
small market Canadian teams to win the Stanley Cup, because if Canadian teams are playing for the Stanley Cup, that means a drop in viewership of Americans and a drop in sales of like merchandise and things like
Yeah,
that.
but the Flames have
in
won.
the American market. The Flames won in '89 when Gary Bettman was not the commissioner.
Have the
Ever
Jets
since
won?
Gary Bettman's been the commissioner of the NHL, a Canadian team has not won.
Have the Jets
Look it
won
up.
though?
Google it.
Have the Oilers won?
Oilers have won a bunch. They have a
Canucks?
dynasty in the
I think the
late
Canucks have won a bunch, haven't they?
80s. I don't know if
few?
the Canucks have won one. Let's Google it.
What you got the Senators from
Don't
Ottawa,
Google it.
right? And then
Have
what's Montreal?
The Canucks have been in the Stanley Cup 3 times.
Canadians?
But they've never won it.
Oh, they've never won.
Canadians have won it a bunch.
And that's Montreal, right?
Yeah.
And then
The Ottawa
Quebec-
Senators have
Ottawa
won it,
Senators.
but they won the Stanley Cup before it was the NHL.
Oh, gotcha.
Like
Okay.
in the
Which is funny.
1901.
It's funny they call it the NHL like the National Hockey League instead of it should be International Hockey League since it's two countries doing it.
I think that name's taken.
Yeah,
Or
but I
North
mean, do the
American.
Canadians count?
Well, it's still two countries, so two countries is international. National usually means
mean,
within
but-
one country, but
Well, it's because we're slowly nationalizing Canada. It's okay. Shh.
We won't.
They are becoming radicalized.
It's
up
like
there.
how in football, the NFL that has no teams anywhere else other than the U.S. say that they're like world champions.
yeah. And then the Jets, I didn't. Have the
Doesn't
Jets,
baseball do the
the
same
Jets won it
thing
all?
too?
The Jets have never won the Stanley Cup.
Jets have never won. And you said that the Oilers had a dynasty, right? You said they won a bunch.
Yeah, they won 85, 86, 87.
Oh,
Yeah, like for baseball, they call
90?
it the World Series for the final games of the year,
Right.
which I always thought was funny.
no. Because Tamper, there's the Toronto Blue Jays. So there is one Canadian team in the MLB.
I
So
guess that does make it.
and
the World
Toronto,
Series,
the Toronto Blue Jays have won 2 Worlds. I didn't know how. I knew they've won at least
The
one,
North
but yeah,
American
they
Series.
yeah. So the Blue Jays have won 2 World Series. So a Canadian team has won the World Series twice. But yeah, that's the only Canadian team in baseball, and then the Raptors is the only Canadian team in NBA, and the NFL does not have any Canadian teams. I would think like Toronto's a big enough city that
But
it
they
could
have their
support
own
a-
kind of football.
Yeah, they have the CFL. So, and Toronto has a CFL team. So the thing is, like, I don't know if Toronto could support a CFL team and an NFL team at the same time. So they
'Cause,
probably
like,
just don't.
There's fundamentally different like teams, rules. The field is different. Canadian football has 2 50-yard lines.
How do you have 2 50-yard lines?
There's just it's like they have 2 45s. There's a different middle line that just says a C on it, I think, and then it's
What?
50
No.
C and then 50.
No.
But that would mean that it'd have to be more than 100 yards because otherwise, you can't have
Yeah, I
two.
guess
You
so.
can't have 2 middle lines. So I mean, if it was like 110 yards, you'd have a 50 and a
Don't
50,
ask
and then
me.
and then a
I'm
55
not a
yard
Canadian.
line.
It's not my football. All I know is that
It's not
that's
my
one
football.
That's one of the weird differences between Canadian football and American football is that Canadian football has 2 50-yard lines.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
so
that's right. There
Yeah,
is.
so
It's
the
100
Canadian-
yeah, yeah,
it's
it's-
like
okay.
110.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
actually 110
That's
yards.
what I said. I was like, if it's 110 yards, you could have 2 50s and then a center 55-yard line. I guess that's how they
Yeah,
do it.
That's what it is.
All right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't directly translate. Like the field
end
is
zones are
fundamental.
I wonder if if they did it like it's 100 meters, which would be probably close to 110 yards. that could be what it is. It's a 100-meter field instead of a 100-yard field.
It's 100.6 by 59.4 meters.
Okay, yeah, so it's pretty much 100. They went with as close to 100 meters without having to like get wonky on the yarding.
Yeah.
And
100
we're
meters is about 110 yards.
And the Canadian
Yeah.
end zones are 20 yards deep, while American end zones are 10 yards deep.
yeah.
So it's
Interesting.
easier to get in them.
No, it's probably just makes the field goals further back from where you have to kick it.
No, they're still the field goals are still at the front end.
Wait, so the field goals like come out and over 20 yards? No, because the field
No,
goals in
it has-
American football, the posts are at the back of the end zone, so that it's 10 yards. So when wherever the ball is spotted for a field goal in American football, they always snap it back 7 yards,
Okay,
and then
yeah,
there's 10
so
yards for
actually-
the end zone. So when you're looking at field goal distances, you take where the ball is placed, add 17 yards, and that's how long of a field goal attempt it is.
Field goals and for a Canadian football field is right at the start line for like where the end zone line is.
Oh, okay. So they just interesting.
Here, I'm gonna put a link in chat.
Yeah, I've actually never watched any CFL stuff or
So,
seen
so
what the
that
rules are for
there
that.
is a image for you, Drayden, of what a Canadian field looks like.
C. Yeah, it's just the C line.
And then you can see the
The
end-
yes
the
line.
field goals are right at the start of the end zone.
Oh, okay. Oh, but that means that the reason why the American post they have the post go back, but then arch up over and start at the back of the end zone is so that because this setup, that means you have two posts at the goal line that you could possibly run into. Now they put the big padding on the post at the back of the end zone, but the thing is like you generally don't hit that unless you're doing like a diving catch at the back of the end zone. And even then, like the post is like I think 5 yards back past the back of the end zone, and then it arches up forward, and then the posts are like 12, 15 feet up in the air.
And
Clearly,
not all of them are
Canada-
shaped like that, though.
Clearly, Canada doesn't have oceans.
In NFL, they are. In like college football and stuff, they do have other posts.
And
and stuff.
LSU's are shaped like H's. They're weird like that.
Yeah,
Instead
yeah,
of just like one middle post, there's just like one on the side and it's just a big
Yeah,
H.
yeah, but but in the NFL, they're all the single center post, and they arch up and over, and then go up at the start of the end zone. But they're like, or not the start, the back of the end zone. But so that means that like when you have to be careful, like when you're going for touchdowns in the CFL, that you could hit that post. Which I mean, like they'll have pads on it, so you aren't gonna like possibly get hurt necessarily, but if you're not paying attention, that might bounce you off and make you not get into the end zone, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if it
interesting.
bounces, if it
Yeah, because like in the NFL, if you hit that goalpost, you're like past the back of the end zone. Like you've either made the touchdown or you haven't at that point.
apparently the padding on the field goal post is useful for hiding props,
Props.
which you'll get penalized for it, but it's funny. I know one
Like-
time there's a player that like hid like a cell phone in it just to be like he scored the touchdown and he pulled
Like-
the cell phone out of the padding on the field goal post and he
Or
was
then
just
calls his
like,
mom, like, "Mama made it."
"Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
So this
I
little
was-
one decided to come up to my chair and start meowing at me until I picked him up.
Oh,
I'm trying to think. Before
I'm surprised
we're
Lily
almost to the
hasn't-
end of the main showtime. Was there any other Eve news? Like we got the
Oh, there's
Plex sale.
stuff.
We got the Plex sale. We got the structure skins. We got the Evermark stuff talk. I think that was mostly it, right? I mean, like there wasn't a whole lot of stuff. I mean, there was the structure announcement, but
What's on the Reddit? Anything good on the Reddit?
I haven't looked at the Reddit. I don't do the Reddit much. We need like a dedicated test, like Reddit guy.
FanFest documentary that I'm in. Ha ha ha.
Yeah.
grat.
Yep, that's me.
I watched that on my drive home the other day.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that yet.
And some of the guys in Horde started like taking screenshots like while I was talking because when I talk, I make stupid faces. That's what my face does. So they're like, "Oh, we can make this into a meme." I'm like, if you're gonna like screenshot every stupid face that I make while I talk, you're gonna have a lot of memes because that's just what I do.
I think a
don't-
lot of us do. Like
Yeah.
I love that like I swear to God, most of the time, if I'm watching like a TV show or a movie or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I need to pause it and get up and go to the bathroom, it always pauses at like the greatest fucking moment for like whatever some
Yeah, it's always
facial
like
expression
they have
is.
like one eye closed and
I'm just like, oh, how'd that frame get in there?
Wait, you can purchase alliance emblems that aren't your own alliance?
No, you cannot.
Or I can say I tried to collect all the alliance emblems, but got tired of doing it after a week.
Try trying to collect them for all the ships.
Oh. When he said collect all the alliance emblems, I thought he was like, I was like, man, you could like, pick the alliance? You just you flying around with like a brave emblem on your Legion of XX death ship? Or maybe just like
You
put
can't do that.
a bunch of can you put multiple emblems on a ship and just start like smattering it up like one of those vans with 1 million bumper stickers on the back? Should be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can. Missed opportunity.
So we're hitting the 2-hour mark. Do we want to spend a little time playing games tonight?
Games.
You guys mentioned the Starship Troopers game.
There's a Starship Troopers game.
I mentioned it only to like inform. I don't think there's any
Can
way
you-
any of us are getting that installed.
Can
by,
you
know,
nuke?
it's
Can you
like,
nuke them, Rico?
not
I mean,
yet.
I was thinking more like, I don't know, some other game. I don't think the Cards Against Humanity website is working yet.
Oh man, speaking of games, so I wouldn't call it getting swindled because it's not like I don't have the game, but I'm a little upset with Blizzard because a couple of my friends were like, yeah, we're playing Diablo 4 because it came out yesterday. I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I was gonna probably play that. And then I get on Battle.net and it's like, download and play now. I'm like, okay, sure. So I buy it and I download it and it's like, you can't play. I was like, but you said I could download and play now. You could download and play now because technically it's early. And
Yeah.
you could download and play if you bought the like $90 version instead of the $70 version. So if you spent the extra $20, you could play 4 days early. I'm like, well, fuck that. What the fuck?
it's Blizzard. What do you expect?
I was like, why would anyone pay? I mean, I think you get some other stuff with that pack, but it's just like, why would I pay $20 to play? That's like $5 a day to play
Blizzard
early.
CEO literally looks like a goblin. Like I think they literally
I was telling my friends,
designed the
I was like,
goblin.
Blizzard is shit.
trade prints.
I was
after
telling my
Blizzard.
friends, I'm like, fuck that. I'll wait the 4 days to play it. I'm not spending $20 to play it on a Thursday instead
still
of
can't.
Monday.
I'm gonna see what happens when Microsoft finally buys them out. Like they've been delaying that because they keep. I don't know.
I wasn't
but-
sure. Yeah, I heard there was a thing that like it got blocked, but then it got pushed through by the EU or something like that. But then I was wondering like, how does EU have jurisdiction over the UK? Because didn't UK leave the EU? So, and Blizzard is I think a UK based company.
There's some complicated arrangements.
I'm
that are
confused
still,
on that whole thing.
It's the they arranged some complicated contracts essentially when they left with the EU to govern certain things. The whole thing's a fucking shit show, honestly, though.
Yeah. Bunch of legal mumbo jumbo on who gets to buy what for $100 billion or whatever it is. What are they buying it for? What's because Blizzard Activision has to be worth quite a bit.
What was it, like 4 billion? I think.
No, they gotta be worth more than that. TikTok
Well,
sold, or
yeah,
not?
but,
Twitter
you know.
sold for 40-something billion. You gotta like you're telling me that
And it's
Blizzard
now worth a third of what
I
it
know
was.
because he overpaid for it, but 69 billion, nice.
Nice.
Oh, okay, cool. I couldn't remember what the fuck.
That's
number
like-
One
that's
of the
like-
biggest deals the
Honestly,
video game
Hurricane,
industry
you're-
has had to do.
I was gonna say it's like Blizzard's Activision has to. I mean, like with just the World of Warcraft franchise alone, it has to be worth like at least like 30 billion. And then you have the
Not
Diablo,
what they used to
StarCraft. Like, it's
be.
like I know it's not what they used to be, but like it still has a. WoW is still I think one of the highest grossing MMOs out there, even though they haven't had a significantly great expansion since. Well, Shadowlands actually did
Supposedly,
really well.
Dragonflight has been doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've heard Dragonflight's pretty
Shadowlands
good.
started great, and then it went out with a whimper. That's
Yes.
why I stopped playing.
Shadowlands, I think, had a really good release, and then it fell off a bit. I haven't played Dragonflight. I did play Shadowlands a little bit. I like some of the zones in there were the most amazing, gorgeous zones. Like when the first time you fly into Bastion, it's like,
I know, like
it's so good.
their
And then
art team is fantastic.
yeah,
Art team is
it's-
fantastic. It was just
art
some of
is
like
so
the
good.
story writers. Ugh.
And then what was the Arden Wield was also really cool. Like those are like the two best zones I think in WoW history. They're fucking amazing.
Yeah, our team is always on point.
What's up,
It's just
VR?
like some of the story writing was like really again some of this
Yeah,
shit.
but then it all came down to like the end game was in the maw, and the maw was fucking ugly, and no one liked the maw.
Well, that's kind of how it's supposed to be. It's like
I know,
that's
but-
it's kind of like hell. You're in the afterlife.
I
and
know,
you're
but it was
tormented.
such an ugly zone. I hated the maw, and then they're like, we're gonna make a new zone with the expansion, not the expansion, but the big patch, and it was just an extension of the maw. It was ugly as shit too. I'm like, fuck. Why can't you make a cool zone like Bastion and Ardenfield? And then the zombie zone was gross too, nasty. It's
I don't
like
know. I didn't play after
Nurgle Land is what I called
a
it.
couple of the first patches. I don't know.
Nurgle Land. That's
It was basically Nurgle Land. It was gross and nasty and ugly.
The patch when they added like, oh, this is the big ancient city, and then there was like 3 buildings in it, or like, is this a city?
Okay, yeah. So the deal was for 68.7 billion, but yeah, you definitely round that up to 69, of course.
Yeah, well, yeah, because that's funny. If it was any
well,
other
funny
number,
fact
like 34.3, you're gonna say 34.3. But if it's 68.7, you're going to say 69.
Yeah, it's 69.
That's funny.
And it's like if it's 69.3, they're like 69 point. You're like, just stop there. Good. All right,
Oh,
so
Lily does want to come up. Hey.
aren't the feeder rounds coming up soon for the AT?
I don't know. Let's find
I
out.
think that might be in. I can't remember because I thought August was like the actual AT. No, November's the AT. So I think August is the feeder rounds, right? Or is it July?
They're gonna have. I think
stuff.
the finals are timed to happen during FanFest.
Oh, so that'd be September. So the feeder round, yeah, the feeder rounds are usually a few months before. So because I know there's groups preparing already and getting teams like practices and shit like that are already going on for feeder rounds. So it's like I don't know if they're happening in June or July. I think
Where are we
August.
at right now? Okay, the signups are closed. Team rosters have been submitted.
Yep.
On the 13th of June, roster and mercenary lock concludes, which means that's
Okay, so
Teams are
mercenaries,
locked in.
yeah.
and that's also the ad submission deadline for the feeder rounds.
Yeah, I haven't looked at there's a page for the rules and stuff, and it's fucking pages long. I haven't read through it yet,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there was a
24th
thing.
and 25th of June is the feeder tournament weekend 1, and the 1st and 2nd of July is feeders tournament weekend 2.
Oh, wait, you said the what week of June?
24th and 25th of June is weekend 1.
Okay.
1st and 2nd July is weekend 2 for feeders.
Ah, okay. So less than a month.
Then, yeah, the next big dates for that is 25 July. You have to lock in your flagship and the ad submission deadline for the main tournament. And then weekend 1 is the 12th and 13th of August.
Ah,
And weekend 2 is the 19th and 20th of August. So by 20 August, tournament's over, right?
I think that'd be like the first because they run a few rounds on a couple weekends and then they start getting into like the finals and stuff, right? Or it's more than 2 weekends, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think the first 2 weekends is like the bulk of it, and then after that it gets down to like the kind of like the final run of the last like, dozen teams or so. I could be wrong, but yeah. So that's coming up. There's a lot of rules now. I don't remember. I didn't read through the rule page last year, but I did read some of it, like some with the bans. I don't know if this is different from previous years, but I think it might be because each side gets 4 bans, but you can only ban up to a max of 3 of a specific ship class. So I think that might be I don't remember that being a thing before, so that might be new. So you can't ban like 4 battleships, like You can up to 3 battleships max ban, and then after that they can't be banned. And they decided that they put logistics ships as its own class as well, so you can't just sit there and ban, like, we're gonna ban Oneros and Scimitar and Basilisk and Guardian, and then like there's like no Logi ships left other than like tournament ships or something like that. So what they were saying is like, so you can ban up to 3 ships. Now each side gets the 4 bans, and if any of the bans are the same, or if it gets to a point where there would be more than 3 bans in the same class of ship, then each side then gets to reban they each get 1 more pick of bans for like, duplicates and stuff like that. So you could potentially have more than the set amount of ships banned. It was weird because like there was like a dozen pages on that whole thing, and I just kind of scrolled to that one part randomly and read it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if that was a thing in previous ATs, but that's gonna be how they do it this year. So it's interesting. So that way you can't ban out everything. You can't just ban all the Marauders to kill Tinker. You can't just ban all the Logis to make it a slap fight and shit like that.
I'm gonna head out for the night, guys. I'll catch you next week.
Yep, see you, man.
Take care.
Bye.
Have fun in Vegas, Delana.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm curious now. Where did I find that link for the AT stuff?
I have it right here. You want the big one?
Yeah, the big one. All the
There you
rules.
go. Rules and registration right there.
Yeah, mercenary rules. There's where's the rules? All right, so yeah, it's a Galenti thing. So Galenti ships have reduced point cost. So I don't like Galenti shit. I mean, they're fine, but I would rather see Amar. Like, why can't Amar sponsor this? Amar ships are awesome. Lasers
Some
and
of the
Maybe,
Galente designs are okay.
have you seen the Moros?
Have you seen the demos?
I said some of them.
The Deimos is quite majestic and sleek and long and
Mhm.
smooth, and
the Brutix.
the Brutix
Something
is
bad?
the freaking. I'm not a fan of the Brutix actually.
What?
Megathron and Talos are cool. Those I like those
Yep.
designs. The Thorax and the Demos are pretty cool.
What about the Imicus?
I'm actually I
Huh?
don't. The Ares is
Banana
kind
with a
of.
kickstand.
The Ares is cool, but a lot of
Yep.
the Galente frigs I think are not cool looking. The
What's the little drone one that looks like it flowers
Tristan,
out?
yeah,
Tristan.
yeah, on the Tristan, or the bomber one has the Tech 2 hull of it. What's the Galente Nemesis? Yeah, I don't know. I think that I like Caldari ship. I think I like the Mars ships the most, but then some Caldari ships are pretty cool. And then Minmatar has some bangers, and then they have some also flops, in my opinion. Minmatar's not bad. Their capitals are kind of,
Gross.
I mean, the capitals are kind of boring, in my opinion. Like, the hell looks like a freaking cardboard
rock.
box fort in space. Like, it's just a fucking.
It does.
Like, I mean, and the Ragnarok is just. It looks like they just started building the ship from the front and didn't know when to stop, and just kept going backwards with it. Like, I mean, the Minmatar ships, like, there's, but then again, you have some cool, like the Rifter and the Wolf and all. Like, that's a cool hull. That's an iconic, like, probably one of the most iconic hulls in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not actually a fan of like the Munin or the Rupture hull, but the Hurricane is fucking badass. I like the Hurricane.
Yep.
Trying to think of some others. I mean, it's like Even the scimitar and that, what is it, the bellicose, I think is the base hull for that. Those are pretty cool looking ships. Like they have some good, like Minotaur is hit and miss, and Caldari can be hit and miss too. Although I think Caldari ships more often than not have a stereotypical sci-fi look to them, just sci-fi boxy ships of, you know, they have some exceptions, like the Caracal and Cerberus are pretty sleek and cool looking, but I don't know, just the Mar, like, get some of those cool ass ships.
Everything looks better in gold.
Yeah, it probably is the color scheme has some bias to it, I would bet, but I mean the Curse and the Pilgrim and the Arbitrator, I guess, that's a cool ship. I like those. The Aeon is not good. The Aeon is the one where I'd be like, it's not done yet. Finish it. Bring it back.
Yep. There's lore behind that. Did you know that?
They just got halfway done. Like, all right, sealed up, boys. We got to send this shit out.
They were in the middle of building the super carrier, and then some sort of like treaty was signed that limited the tonnage of capital ships. And the Aeon was like
it's just
about to go over, so they were just like, "Fucking stop putting shit on it."
It's like the Death Star half finished. They're like, well, the laser works, right? So
yeah, it's fully operational.
Yeah, Val is like, the Aeon looks great, and then you turn the camera. But
what do you mean this thing's 3/4 done?
The Archon does. I like the Archon. Some people think the Archon looks unfinished too. They're like, yeah, the Archon looks like it just got lathed. It's like it was a cool ship, and then it got lathed into a slice. But I think the Archon looks cool. I don't know. A lot of people like the Avatar is like the iconic Titan ship for the game, but the Avatar is weird, right?
No, it isn't. It's not weird. It's just
it's weird, and anyone who likes it is weird.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's it's a giant space horse cock, right? I mean, there's that joke. So it's a weird ship. Yeah, it's a horse stick. Yeah. I mean, what is the best Titan though? I mean,
the Avatar.
The Erebus looks like a freight train that gets smaller towards the back, right? It's like a bodybuilder freight train, big up top and then minuscule on the bottom.
It's a juiced up.
It's a juiced up Titan. It's just like got too much protein shake going on.
Roll, let's go.
Yeah, the freaking the Erebus skips leg day. What the fuck is the Caldari Titan? I think that's like just a cool one. Leviathan, that's right. The Leviathan looks pretty good. I mean, you can't go wrong with a Leviathan, except it's got missiles. Yuck. That's like my one thing I don't like about the Bane. Some people like it, but it's like, oh, it's a extra large torp boat. I'm like, ugh, yuck. That's a T2 Dread I won't be getting.
My only complaint about like the Caldari as missile users is like the bigger you get, they don't fling out more missiles. Like, you know, if it's like a missile Titan or capital ship, I want to see space filled with fucking missiles.
Oh, you mean for the Doomsday? Instead of a big laser, it's like just a big barrage, like a death barrage of missiles.
Swath of fucking missile.
Just opens up all the missiles bays on its entire hull and just like becomes a freaking locust swarm of cruise missiles.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dodge this, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. I'm trying to think what other Omar ships look cool. I mean, the Apocalypse is sweet. I don't know. Amara just has cool looking designs. They're like the sci-fi. I think Caldari is like the sci-fi ship look, and then Amar is like if Final Fantasy was in space. That's their ships.
No, it's more like they took 40K and like toned down
probably
the goth.
Yeah, Arbitrator. Yeah, see, Severality. I like the Arbitrator. I don't really fight Arbitrator, but I like the Curse is probably one of my favorite ships in the game. I really, really like the curse. The pilgrim too. Pilgrim's same whole. Just it's the cloaky one. Although I might be getting a pilgrim just to like run around cloaky and see what I can do with it. But
I like the scorpion hull.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I liked both of them. I like the old scorpion hull too.
What? Okay, I will. I actually meant severality. I think you just got here. I did mention that the hell looks like someone made a cardboard fort in space. They just like made a triangle of cardboard and called it a ship. I'm not a fan of the hell as far as aesthetics. I actually, as far as super carriers go, I mean, it's hard to argue with the Nyx. The Nyx is just really
Nyx is the
like okay. So I give Galeni ships a lot of shit, but I mean, you do have the Demos and Thorax, and then you have the Hell, or not the Hell. You have the Nyx. Nyx is pretty fucking cool. But I actually really like the Wyvern. As far as super carriers go, Wyvern is pretty sweet. Yeah. It does not look like a carrier. It looks like it should be a dread, in my opinion. But
Oh yeah, that one. I always forget.
I
what
do
that
like
one
the
looks-
Typhoon. That's the thing. Like the Typhoon is kind of similar to the Hell. It has like a similar style, but the Typhoon is cool. I do like that one. Yeah, I like a lot of the Caldari. The Caldari Capitals are just. I think most of the Caldari ships are just solid looking, for the most part. The Wyvern's sweet. The fuck, I can never remember. What's the Caldari carrier? I don't fucking fly carriers. I never remember the names of most of them. Like Chimera. Oh man. It's like all the rest of the three, I can remember all those carrier names. I just Chimera slips my mind every time. I've played this game for over a decade. I still can't remember that ship. Cernitra.
Oh yeah, the trig one.
I mean, all the trig ships look cool. I don't think there's a single Triglavian ship that looks bad. You got one of the,
Zarmaz, whatever the fuck it is.
No, I like the Zarm. The Zarm's cool, man. It's
know.
cool. It looks like it almost has the style of like the, not because the T3 cruisers are modular, but like the Legion shape where it's like kind of like got the extended underprow part. That whatever subsystems you have to use to get that look on the Legion, it kind of looks like that, but kind of cooler and more edgy. It's like an edgy Legion, like an edgy villain Legion is what I would think the Zarm looks like. Revenant? No, I don't think the Revenant looks cool. The Revenant looks like a space turd. I know that's the joke, but it's a space turd.
More SOE ships, as long as they don't look.
Yeah, I would
end up looking like a fucking hand blender.
I do like that they've gone all out on the Triglavian faction. They don't have everything, but I like the fact that they've got most of the. I mean, they have like frigate through battleship covered. They have dreads, and then they have Tech 2 stuff. They have like the. Do they have a command? It's not a command thing. It's like a. I know they have Tech 2 shit with trees, but I would like to see them have a Triglavian carrier, a Triglavian fighters. That would be cool too. Imagine fighters that spooled up. That would be an interesting mechanic. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I mean that's and then and then Triglavian Titan. Imagine a spool. How would you spool up a Doomsday? Could you? Maybe it takes longer to actually apply the damage, but it does more damage. But then you still can't avoid it unless it's like a boson. But I don't know how you do it. I'm not a game designer, but a trig.
Maybe once you click
Trig
the
Titan
button,
would be
it's gonna
sweet.
spool up before it fires. You know what I mean? So like instead of locking, clicking the button, getting Doomsday, you lock it, you click the button, the Doomsday cycles once, twice, 3 times. And
Well, I would say that, yeah. What if it was a thing where like the Doomsday cooldown was shorter, but if you kept firing on the same target, it would do more damage each time. So it would spool up, but you had to multiple Doomsday, and so the initial Doomsday was like 2/3 of a normal Doomsday, but then it could spool up to 1 1/3 times Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
By then, though, it's like I don't know if that would be good, because I think by then, like, what you're shooting at would probably be dead unless you're shooting another Titan. So it's, I mean, like, even if it's a reduced Doomsday, you hit it with 2 of those on a carrier, it's either dead or you're dead. By the, I don't know. That might actually be a shitty design.
Actually, I think that faction not having a Titan is actually better, because then you've got the fucking Zernitra doing its damn job, unlike like the rest
Yeah,
of the
like
Dread.
the Zernitra is solid. I like the Zernitra. I can't fly one, and they're super fucking expensive too. But they're also, yeah, I think that's why most people don't fly them. You don't really see them too often because they're so spendy. Like, I mean, aren't they like 2 or 3 times the cost of a normal Dread fully fit? So it's
Something
like why would you use one Zernitra when you just put 2 or 3 other Dreads on the field and do more damage and have more tank altogether?
Because
the only downside is you need 3
appreciates
pilots. You need 2 or 3.
time.
You need 2 or 3 pilots for that, as opposed to just one. But, hard to say. I will be right back.
Where'd Drayden go?
Get a drink.
Oh. So, anyways, there I was. Getting
Barbecue-
evicted from my wormhole.
Barbecue sauce in your titties?
Yeah.
Wow, getting evicted while having barbecue sauce on your titties. That sucks.
Well, I can only do so many things.
True.
Yep. What else is going on in Eve? What's going on with Horde? What are they doing now?
I don't know. I haven't logged in a while.
Mm-hmm. No more war. What's the war in the north doing? Anything?
Haven't heard anything about that in a while.
haven't heard
Didn't
anything
it
about
die
it.
out or something?
I see like little skirmishes in Venal and stuff like that, but like nothing else.
It's venal. There's always little skirmish.
Yeah. But like with the prerequisite players that were involved in said war in the north.
Are we really sitting here in awkward silence?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to fucking draw stuff out of you. You're fucking I don't log in. Fuck.
Maybe Goblins.
And I
won't
don't
convince
play,
me
so I
next
don't have
week,
anything
or I
but
don't know. Maybe
opinion.
somebody will convince me.
Well,
I'm back. I was just thinking about stuff. Did you guys have something going on?
No, we were actually sitting here in several seconds of awkward silence.
Oh, several. So I was I just started. I was thinking about it. So you have the Triglavians, Eden Calm. Eden Calm needs some help. Those ships are bad.
yeah.
They just are. They're not good. There's a reason no one flies them. I mean, I can't say not a single person. I'm sure there's like that one dude that is just like, you know what? One day I'll show him how good these ships are, and he's still trying to this day. But
well, it's not just that they're bad; it's that they're bad.
The weapons are bad. Like, they're expensive, and the weapons aren't.
And the fucking and the skill books are expensive.
Yeah, well, those are like, I mean, the skill books are, you buy them one time, that's it. But I don't think skill book costs is a deterrent for.
So, like, would you
if
drop
the ships themselves were good, then, right? But like, if the ships were good themselves, the skill book cost wouldn't be a deterrent. So if I think that if no one's flying them, it's because the ships aren't worth it, as not because
Right.
the skill books are too expensive. It's just because the ships aren't good. Like they're too expensive. They're not effective. And that's the weird thing, because when Triglavian and Edencom ships were being announced and like you saw the weapon systems, I thought the opposite. I was like, holy shit, the Edencoms, like it's gonna be so good. Like, because my thought process, like, you have this, if everyone in the enemy fleet is chain lightning all over an enemy fleet, you're gonna have, it's like it depends on your alliance or your group's discipline on broadcasting for reps. Because I was like, dude, the Logi, like these ships are a nightmare for Logi weeks, because you have the one person that's primary, they should broadcast, but then everyone's taking damage across the whole fleet. Maybe not a ton, but it's the same thing of like, you get that one random bomb that goes into your fleet, and it's like, no one broadcast for stupid single bomb damage, please. Don't only broadcast if you're getting targeted. You'll survive this one bomb. Don't broadcast for damage from that bomb. And then the bomb goes off and you get like 20 broadcasts. You're like, fucking hell. Like, it's like, all right, well, whoever's primary is dying, and then whoever's secondary is dying, and we just have to wait for the new. Like, well, I'll try and sift through them, but by the time you try and sift through, like the people that were actually primary and secondary are dead, and now you get the tertiary, like the new primary. They broadcast a new broadcast. Like, okay, that's who we need to rep. So it's like when random bomb damage goes off, it's not unheard of to lose a ship or two. Because unless you have, again, if you have a group that's really disciplined and they don't broadcast for their bomb damage, then you're good. But you get groups that do that. And so I was like, these Edencom ships are going to essentially be that incarnate with all the like every time a new target happens and people start shooting, everyone's taking damage, everyone's going to broadcast, even if they're not really getting that low. Because like the chain lightning damage was pretty minimal. It wasn't that strong, but people are just going to see their shields going down. They're like, oh shit, broadcast, because they aren't paying attention and they don't.
Well, yeah.
They don't look and see that you're not getting yellow boxed or red boxed by the whole enemy fleet. So don't broadcast. Like, it's just splash damage. But so I was thinking like that's gonna make it, so it's gonna confuse people. Are gonna broadcast the hell out of shit, and the Logi is gonna get bombarded with broadcasts. They're not gonna be able to find the primary. So I thought that these ships, just because of that mechanic, was gonna make them good, even if they didn't do that much damage initially. But by fucking up the Logi ships, you can win fights, and that's what I thought was going to happen. And then you see the Triglavians, like, okay, they start off kind of low damage, and then what, they have to spool up, but like, it's the name of the game is alpha. They don't alpha, so I thought Triglavians weren't going to be that strong, and then lo and behold, Edencom ships end up being shit, and Triglavians are the bread and butter. I mean, they still weren't mutants, but
because the Edencom ships were so expensive, not a lot of people bought them, so nobody got to try them like en masse. Like, you've never seen it.
Yeah, but then again, it's like people try. Like there was enough
because
people that
nobody tried them
like,
en masse. Because nobody tried them en masse, everybody's.
There were some fleets.
Garbage.
There
No
were
one's
some
figured it
fleets
out.
though. There were some fleets of like, I don't know if they took Thunderchilds out, but what's the cruiser one?
Skybreaker.
Skybreaker. Yeah, like I think there were Skybreaker fleets that were tried and they just didn't do well. And it wasn't like a Skybreaker fleet of like, I don't know if it was goons or someone tried them, and like there was like whole fleets of them, and they just didn't really kill shit and got annihilated and were super expensive. So it's like, yep, these are bad. So the ships that I thought were super effective or would be effective because of how their weapons worked ended up not being very good. And then the Triglavian ships, which seemed kind of meh, because it's like you got to start low damage and spool up, but then the spooling up though, like if you get spooled up, you don't need alpha. You'll just eat through the reps and kill people if you spool up. So it's like, alpha fleets, like you have to hit that alpha before reps hit, and if reps hit, you're never going to kill them. Whereas if you have enough trig ships, like, okay, reps hit, well, reps hit, no problem. Everyone stay on that target and give it like 30 seconds. We'll chew through it, and then next target. So yeah, Leshak's solid. Vedmax are like, the go-to nano ship, I guess, these days. Like Vedmax are pretty fucking solid.
Yeah.
Kiki fleets were just really good because they're pretty cheap and effective. So yeah, I mean,
And who doesn't love triangle?
It's the most.
Everybody loves the triangles.
It's the most structurally sound shape, right?
One of the
And you can
strongest. Yeah.
take 6 of them and make the Bestagon.
Doritos. Yes.
Yeah. The fucking Edencom ships, man.
I kind of wish they would like do something with those because, like,
How could you fix them?
you have to totally revamp them. Like, they'd have to like come up with some lore for it. Like, Eden God would have to realize our ships are bad. What do we do? Redesign it.
Like, is it if you up the chain damage, would that make them better?
Like, I don't like the chain idea was a cool idea, but I just don't think it works.
To me, like
to make the chain work, I think
chips
you'd have to make them
paired
too
with something
strong.
else, right?
Like for the chain to be effective, it would probably be too effective. Like if you buffed the chain weapons to a point where they were strong, I think they would be OP as fuck strong, and no one wants that. So like you want the ships to be good.
The counter would be you spread your fleet out at that point, right? If the chain damage is strong enough, now your fleet is spread out, but now you can counter with other things that will come in and take advantage of that dispersed fleet. You know what I mean? Like spearfishing would be a scarier thing.
I mean, like, instead of chain lightning, what if it was just more along the lines of like AoE explosive damage, like mini bombs, like, but it's like you target this one ship, you shoot that one thing, and it will hit that ship, but when it hits, it does like a little AoE explosion. So then you get the AoE, but it's localized in a certain spot instead of like chaining all over like randomly in the fleet. Like, I don't know. I don't know how they fix them, but it's like they're bad, and I don't want to see CCP just be like, well, these ships are bad and no one flies them. Meh, fuck it. We'll just focus on Triglavians because like the Triglavians got a dread. Edencom didn't get a dread because no one would use it.
Nobody uses it.
Yeah, it's like no, they've expanded on the Triglavian ships a bunch. They haven't done anything with the Edencom ships since the first initial release of them. So I just wish they would do something to Edencom ships to make them good, but they would have to redesign them.
Maybe if you increase the drop rate and they become way cheap, maybe more people would use them. Do you know what I mean? Because that's one of the reasons that nobody uses them, because they're so expensive, because nobody's building them, because nobody's using them.
Yeah. But I mean, if no one's using it, it's got to be because they're not very good, though, right?
Right.
Because I mean, if they were good ships and worth flying, then groups would have them built, and it would be popular enough that the price would go down because enough people would start building them.
Take them out of the game. Fuck it. Don't even.
I mean, yeah, just Edencom should just admit defeat. Like, that's all they should do. Just
don't even do that. We'll just delete them from the timeline.
Edencom
every mention of
admits
Edencom
defeat,
ships ever,
scraps their yard, their coalition dissolves, and then Shield comes in and they make like helicarriers and shit like that and put those in the game instead.
All right, I think I'm ducking out.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to call it. So we can head out. I'm gonna do a shot for the road.
Oh, I don't have anything left.
Say it. All right, well, we're off for the night. Shots, everybody, if you got them, or if you don't, that's fine. We'll catch you guys next week, and we'll see you then.
Be safe, everybody.
7.
Ooh. Whiskey shots. Ugh. All right, bye, everybody.